everybody, and welcome to the TTV Podcast, episode 312. I'm Meso.
I'm Bar.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Invi.
I'm Prpl.
And I'm Hayley.
And hello, everybody! It's been a while.
So you didn't actually do what I requested when I was supposed to name order in the sponsor chat. So I didn't actually know if I was supposed to go second or not. So I kind of guessed.
Yeah, Var, you were supposed to go last. What the heck?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Messed it up.
Holy crud.
Var. How's everybody doing this fine? What day is it today? Friday evening.
I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm trying to release a Danganronpa episode, and as we were starting this, I'm working on the tags, and I want to read out this one tag that I wrote. It is after Hajime Hinata, of course. It says, "Mesonek is a trash troll monkey wrench with a with a disregard for authority and basic human indecency."
You got that right.
What?
Wait, what? You got that right.
That is
If I type that
search
in, it will
engine
give me that
optimization
video.
at its finest, right there.
Thank you.
Everybody's gonna be finding this video now after that
Or
tag.
if I type that in, we're gonna get a whole bunch of videos by Var. That's just under. Okay.
The secret, like, subliminal messaging.
Turns out he's been doing this all along.
Trash troll monkey wrench with a disregard for authority and basic human indecency.
Aha.
Okay.
Well,
Watch Danganronpa, everybody.
Where do we
Yes,
watch
it's so
it, Var?
funny. It is so funny.
What?
Where
watch it
would
on the
we go to
TTV,
watch it?
You should go to the TTV Nerfed channel, which still has all the archive artwork because we haven't made any new assets for it because we're lazy and don't care about our own.
That's
I'm
not true.
sorry,
hold on.
okay? I just haven't been in the mood to draw new, like, character art.
That
I've
wasn't
got
actually.
the layout, but...
That wasn't a dig at you.
That's technically a jab at everybody.
So I don't know
that
why
wasn't
it's a
a
jab
dig
at
at
everyone,
you.
though. I have nothing to do with the channel art.
I meant like in general, we just don't care.
Prpl, are you okay? You need to sit down. You need a drink.
Like,
Some water.
Guys,
Jeez.
You know what? You know what?
I am sitting down and I do have water.
TTV is sponsored by water. Stay hydrated.
Hail hydrate.
but anyway, I guess we all know who to blame. I suppose.
That'll do
Prpl has
this.
self-internalized her own guilt.
Yeah,
Replacing-
seriously. Good lord.
Don't worry, guys.
Man.
As we do this, by the end of this podcast, I will come up with some channel art for the Nerf channel. Okay, here I go.
I have already started!
No, don't worry, Prpl. I got your back. I got this.
Dang.
You can trust Eljay with the artwork.
You know it.
He's a
We don't want to put all this pressure on you, Prpl.
Oh, shut up.
Don't want any more explosions on recording. Just saying, listen.
It's all right.
Just saying.
Guys, relax. Just chill out, kick back, grab some delicious water, sponsored by water, and we'll be all right. All right.
Go to the TTV Nerf channel, everybody. We're almost at 1,000
Sponsored.
subscribers. I don't even care if you watch our stuff. Just go to the channel and subscribe so we can start making money already. That's all I
Holy
care
crud.
about. Money.
Wow.
Please
It's a nice
let us
perk.
profit off of you. I mean, the
I'm sure the
advertising.
Dangan episodes will just rake in the dough.
I mean, they're long videos, so
We're off
even
to
though
a
they don't
great
get many
start,
views,
everyone.
I'm sure this place is just booming with business.
I mean, customers. I'm sure business is great.
Listen, man, they rake in. They don't rake in the views, but they do rake in the watch time.
All right, fair enough. Clearly,
Okay,
one of us
Now it's
cares enough
time
about
for some new audience members to watch.
Listen, we're at 978. We're almost close to the milestone. We're almost
Please help
there.
us.
Please,
We'll bring back
Please help us.
t-shirts.
We're broke.
we're so close.
So,
Yeah, the Danganronpa Let's Play has been going on for a while. It's where a lot of our focus has been going. Please watch it. It's one of the funniest things
okay,
you've
it's
ever
where
done.
a lot of our focus has been going. We just ended a conversation talking about how we don't have proper channel artwork.
Well, time-wise, over the last half year, that's where a lot of our focus has been going.
I mean, I basically quit TTV to work in TTV Archive, so or Nerfed or TTV, whatever. This
You
And
did.
I
we
couldn't
don't care.
even make the art for it.
we don't care. We don't have
I'm-
art for
I'm
it.
sorry.
So.
When did you edit
Once again,
the other two Let's
Still-
Plays?
still got a diss at. What? Wait, what are you trying to imply here? I'm not saying that I'm the
What do you
only
think
one
I'm
who's-
trying to imply here?
I'm not saying no one else has done anything for the channel. Where did you get that from?
I'm
I
saying.
introduced you guys to Dangan, and this is the thanks I get.
Yeah, like what?
I think what he was getting at is Eljay spearheads TTV channel video content whilst also playing and editing and uploading and releasing 2 Let's Plays. You quit TTV to play Danganronpa.
I sure did.
One of them, which you didn't even need to edit. You just live streamed it to the channel.
I mean, you could have done that too.
But we decided against it because it was gonna be laggy and unfortunate, and it
I don't actually know why you're upset right now. I can't tell what your problem is right now. What are you mad about?
I'm just mad that we haven't gotten you on videos here in so long. I want you to be a part of
Okay, well the videos here suck, and the videos there are better. And if I only have time for one or the other, I'm going to choose the one that I enjoy doing the most.
The one with the less suckage.
Just calm down.
People
By the way,
miss
this is
you,
a good
though.
time to mention the dang
Well,
videos.
people miss me. Here I am, right here, and they can also catch me on the TTV Nerfed channel where we're playing Danganronpa. They miss me so much.
I have good cross-promotion opportunity. Now I'm
here
going
we
to pitch this to you, Var. 2 words. Well, multiple words. Danganronpa autopsy.
No. Anyway, like, if you guys could... Maybe if you guys actually scheduled these podcasts in a reasonable time, then, you know, it might be possible that I could fit both of them into my schedule. But alas, that hasn't been the case for the past 3 months.
Yeah, Meso. I'm just passing the buck.
No,
as much
see,
as I can.
I'm targeting this at Eljay specifically because he was the one bad.
Oh, how dare you!
Nice.
I am more flexible than a gymnast. Thank you very much. This is
Prove
nothing.
it.
All right,
It's on
all right.
webcam
Here we
right
go.
now.
I'm gonna bend backwards. Here we.
Whoa. Very different kind of channel.
Oh, LJ, I remember this one time you did like 50 push-ups just casually on webcam, and I was
Top
like,
10
what the
TTV
heck?
posts on that.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at push-ups.
Hey, I like how
I've never
part
done a
2.
push-up.
I like how part 2 of our Danganronpa 2 Let's Play is only 49 minutes, and then part 4 is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's why I don't like doing short episodes. It causes a time discrepancy.
It's out of
That's
balance.
like a ridiculous.
You gotta Thanos these episodes.
Anyway, go to TTV Nerfed. We'll have other gameplay videos up there eventually. We have 2 that are just sitting there not published right now for one reason or another. Eventually those will come out. I'm not sure we should put those out like while we're putting out Danganronpa videos, or if we need to wait until after.
Why not?
That's a good question.
Wait.
Those videos just need to be released already. It's been almost a year since the first one was recorded.
This is true.
Well,
Also,
listen.
just keep in mind, everyone, the videos are not.
Maybe we'll release
family-friendly,
them when we
but
have
they are
art for the
immensely
channel.
entertaining. It's just.
Still not a dig at you. There are plenty of artists that could make art for the channel.
Yeah,
I'm
but
working
it's
on
not
it.
like you were going to.
Ooh. Oh no.
Well, I mean, I was going to until you said that you were going to, but then you didn't, so...
Oh, of course, it's always just, oh, I was gonna do this till you said you were gonna do
I was
this.
literally working on it, and you joined... I even told you what my idea
Wow.
was. I had a sketch ready to go, and then you were like, oh, I can do it! I've got my own idea! And I was like, alright, well, that's a cool idea. You should go with that, and then you never did it.
Well, everyone.
So
Boy,
here
oh
we
boy.
are.
If this sure.
Hold up. Either.
Oh no.
What you just described, Var, is how I feel about every idea everyone in TTV pitches ever.
Holy
So I
crud.
sympathize with you.
Holy crud.
Wow, cool idea. Are you gonna do it?
Well, everyone. Boy, soon enough, we're gonna have to make another statement that someone's been let go for comments they made previously. Kinda like Disney and James Gunn. I really hated saying that.
Oh,
I given my
I'm not
usual
done talking about... Anyway, okay.
given my usual stance on things that are happening in media being discussed in the podcast, saying that was like poison on my
Wait,
tongue.
is this a TTV podcast episode?
This is a TTV podcast episode because it's not just about Captain Marvel.
I don't want to be here.
Well, you're already
What did
here.
you think it was?
No one told me, okay? I thought it was
Barbie.
Captain Marvel review.
That's what I
It is.
thought too. And Meso told me like half an hour before, by the way, it's the podcast.
Well, I don't like doing this thing where like we selectively do like TTV special for movie reviews, and then like it's an episode that isn't added to the count. I'd love to just bring back TTV talks for like movies, but we don't have one.
and me both.
Yeah, but you
Oh, we don't
also
have,
want
like,
to
a
kill the
stream template?
podcast.
That's because the podcast is stupid.
You're stupid.
But we don't have like a modernized thumbnail template or a
The
stream
two are
template
not
for shooting
mutually
accounts.
exclusive.
So for now, it's the podcast, the Power Wowcast.
Do not say that.
Uh,
Take your furry propaganda and get it out of here.
Power
Meso, Meso, have you been keeping up with the Vindicator's chat?
Keeping up with
I've not. No.
Okay. Just curious.
Don't.
Keeping up with the Kardashians. No.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Sigh.
Anyway, yes. So today,
Someone
is
tell me the
cause-
mock spotlight thumbnails suck, please.
Holy
Oh
crud.
my god.
patrons. Yeah, I summoned the post in patron chat on Mars' behalf.
Actually,
Let everyone know the score. Forward Mars message onto Vin.
I forgot to get a picture.
When are we
of
gonna
James.
fire that guy already?
Oh my goodness.
Holy crud.
Alright, so anyway, speaking of firing and being rehired,
Oh, that was really clever.
So LJ. No,
James Gunn is no longer James Dunn.
Oh my God.
He is back to being the James one and only director of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise.
Dude, you stole my joke.
Because Disney has reinstated him
Oh no.
in the greatest, like, flip since pancakes. Like, they decided to just
Flippy
completely backpedal on all of their supposed, like, moral high ground and everything. You know, just because.
I mean, listen,
they
it was
felt like
obvious
it.
at the time that they were doing it just to appease the crowd to begin with. It was always just
Oh, of course.
a PR thing, so it doesn't surprise me that they'd go back on it now that the dust has settled. I didn't think
it
they
kind of
would.
surprises me. It surprises me a little
Yeah.
bit. Because,
I
I mean,
mean, okay.
it was a pretty big thing, and this stigma is going to stick with him now. It's going to be a consistent thing throughout certain groups of people. But it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. I'm glad Disney went back on it, because Disney was very very swift in their action when the whole thing blew up.
Yeah, a little too swift. I see a bunch of people speculating they had to do it because they were in the middle of negotiating the deal with Fox and they couldn't afford the bad press, like tainting the deal, and that it was always their plan to like rehire him, which I certainly do believe. Because the Fox
Certainly
deal's like
possible.
basically secured. It's like going into certification right now.
Yeah, but they put him through like heck over it, unless he was like
They did.
in on the plan.
I
I
doubt,
doubt it. I think
So,
I think
I don't know.
their long-standing machinations, coupled with his genuine remorse and the cast and crew being in solidarity with him, were all factors which helped get this outcome. And this is a very good outcome. Now it does mean, because the funny little thing happened during all of this, where okay, I'm gonna pause what I'm about to say just to read this comment in the YouTube chat. For Ever Shadow 7, they fired his gun, but he fired back. All right. Anyway, a funny little thing happened during all this because he went to join the DC cinematic universe, air quotes, to basically direct the same movie, Suicide Squad 2. You know, a group of mischievous criminals banding together to work for a common good. It's the same kind of thing. So all the jokes were like, oh, he was going to make Suicide Squad as good as Guardians, but now he's doing both. And in
Featuring
fact,
music from the 70s and 80s.
exactly. Now he's obligated to do Suicide Squad 2, and Disney is allowing him to do that first, and then come back and work on Guardians, which likely means we won't be seeing Guardians anytime within the next 3, maybe even 4 years, I would say. There's going to be a very lengthy break with Guardians, which I find more than a little unfortunate and bizarre, considering how quickly the sequel came out after the first one. It came out too fast, and then the third one's coming out too far away.
3 years was
Christ.
too soon.
Yeah. In
It
comparison.
definitely felt too soon.
Yeah.
Did it?
Only because there were so
it
many other
absolutely
characters.
did.
Yeah.
Eh.
Only because there were so many other characters in the mix. By that point, it's like, okay, so we're getting another Guardians movie, but where's the new characters? Where are they? It took so many like years to get everyone into the fold. Like Black Panther, Ant-Man, they all came way too late. That's just my opinion, though. It's fine. Point is, it's now too long between this and the third movie, but it's whatever. I understand. Stuff like this can't really be avoided with the meta narrative of corporate politics. Let's just be happy for the end result and say, hey, Guardians is actually going to get to finish its trilogy, which is pretty nice.
That's pretty neat.
This will also make James Gunn the only director to direct a full trilogy in the MCU.
The first
Super cool.
director.
The first director, yes.
First and only for now, because
Yeah.
it's going to be a while before a trilogy completes. Yeah, it's really cool. I appreciate that, especially because of the identity that Guardians has over other properties. Like, all of Marvel's other trilogies have been kind of all over the place in tone. Like, Caps is the most solid, but also the most out there, because it was a solo film that eventually spun into a team-up movie, which eventually spun into basically an Avengers movie. Iron Man was just wildly inconsistent. Thor can barely even be called a trilogy, considering how the Ragnarok just destroys pretty much everything that came before. For the better, but it pretty much just destroys everything that came before. Guardians is going to be the only one to pretty much start and finish how it began, which is an ensemble cast of people doing space stuff. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to it. There's a larger discussion to be had about, social media controversy and stuff. This podcast might not be the place to delve into that fully.
Nope.
Because I know a lot of the tweets in particular were offensive, but I think Prpl has the right idea. People need to chill out. That's pretty much the moral about all this. Stuff can be inexcusable while also recognizing that people are capable of change and growth. I think that's the moral. And that's something to take away from all this, a positive lesson. Obviously, the phrase, give people too many chances is real. But there is something to be said for realizing that none of us are the same person that we were a decade ago.
It's true.
Man.
Meso's gotten a lot worse since
10 years.
Wow.
Oh my god. Var, I was reading through some old Skype logs earlier.
Oh,
That's
here we
definitely
go.
not true.
No, it definitely is true. Listen,
Here,
you used to be like a little like goofy, twerpy the thing, like an abomination of a creature.
what?
You weren't really a person, but at that same time you were also very entertaining. Now you're the jerk.
I'm not a jerk!
Hey, now.
You're definitely a jerk. There was a point in time where nobody in TTV had any kind of grievance with you at all. We all liked you evenly. You were like the middleman.
Wow.
Man, dry. Baby.
No,
Fed up with this world.
He's painting a very
Okay.
nice picture.
I'm dying.
I feel
Here.
like this
Well, there was a
dynamic has
time where,
not
like,
changed
everybody-
at all.
Matoro!
What?
Wait,
What?
please say that again. Please say it again. I didn't hear it.
Oh, I just feel like their dynamic hasn't changed at all. Because like when I was listening to the IBZP podcast, it's just the same. It's just Bar being
No,
like, "Shut up, Meso," and then Meso being like, "Meh."
Yeah, but that's the thing. Meso isn't like "Meh" now. Meso's like blah 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 destiny blah 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 blah
Do not
destiny
say that
blah blah
word.
blah.
Blah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Blah blah blah. Agent of Shield. Blah 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 blah. My opinion is objectively correct. Blah 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 blah.
Accurate.
So it's like he's annoying now. Before
I
he was
like-
annoying in like a quirky kind of way. Now he's annoying in a I just don't want to be around you kind of way.
Oh,
I like
no.
the new me. Operation New Me.
There was a point in time in TTV where everybody had some kind of problem with everyone, so we all had like secret chats that we would call like Pandemic Pando without Eljay or Pandemic Pando without Vin, and the person never knew.
See, it was a very healthy setup. I'm sure you can all tell.
That's so scary.
Are you still questioning how I got
Sometimes you need
fired?
to vent about people.
Yeah, sometimes you need to get away from people. But Meso never had one. We never had one for Meso. But I would definitely make one for Meso now.
Oh.
My god. Var, you betray me. Just because you betray me, I'm posting a picture from our old Skype logs.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. This
Just
right
to illustrate my point. Here's an amazing exchange between Var and I in December 2009.
All right, let's
me.
read this out.
All right, Var, let's enact this. We're the Bionicle kids with Kanohi masks a-glowing It's the podcast show with Vard and friends. That's it.
It don't rhyme though.
XT. Yeah. That and it files.
Ha, I'm Bard. You're just friends I rocks. You're just friends I rocks.
I love it. There's so many exchanges like that.
It definitely sounds like you guys back then.
I don't know what I was getting at with that. And then there's this other great exchange where you're like, so here's our assignment for the day, team. Listen to other podcasts, anything random or whatever, and write down ideas from them. And I'm like, other podcast? I don't know any other podcast.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I think the context for that first one was we were trying to come up with like an intro or something.
Probably.
So that was your suggestion.
My
But
amazing
see-
suggestion.
You were annoying, but you were annoying in a very lovable way. Now you're just annoying in a very I hate you kind of way.
Kind of sounds
You were
like
never
SpongeBob.
you were never a troll before, you know? Now
Var,
you're a troll.
we've grown as friends. We need to reinforce our friendship. We need to hang out more.
Reenact your vows.
Renew them.
Renew your vows.
Not with you,
Your
Meso.
friendship.
Halo Reach 60 FPS is coming. We gotta hang out in that.
That
We
is
gotta-
not going to make me like you anymore at all. That will do the exact opposite of that.
Come on,
Well,
Var. Think
First,
about
you
it.
need to disavow Halo Reach coming out and play El Dorito instead. And how you'll never need to get Halo Reach on the PC.
Yes.
Listen, playing if I've learned anything, playing Halo with Meso will not improve my relationship with him one bit. So.
You can't see me, but I'm grinning a Cheshire Cat grin
So,
right now.
Guys, I've got some good news.
Proving Bar's point exactly.
Before we all
I'm
kill
not
each other, I just want to go ahead and tell you all I've finished the design for the TTV Nerfed channel banner.
Okay.
Okay.
Now it might
I think
be a
we're all
little
gonna
misleading
unite
to
except
some,
you.
but I feel like this captures the emotions
Can you
that
just
we have.
post it already?
It's uploading. It captures the emotions that we all feel
That's
about
epic.
the channel.
I was expecting a whole bunch of stick figures.
Oh, it's better than what we had before. I'm definitely putting that up right now.
Change it right now. Placeholder.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TTV Nerfed channel. I've got it up on screen now, so you can see it in its beautiful glory.
I love it.
Great.
Nerf.
You see, or nothing.
TTV.
Thank you, Hale.
So
That's a great slogan. That's our new slogan.
that no, it is not, because it's Nerf's slogan.
Can we just go off that? We can just take it.
It's Nerf or nothing good on the other channel.
Oh my god.
That feel when you make a video with bad language. It's nerfed or nothing.
All
right.
But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed that.
Dude, I can't change it.
I'll send you the full resolution. Don't worry.
No, I don't care. I don't even want it in full resolution. That would make it worse. I want it in all its low resolution glory, but I can't change it. It won't let me change it.
Copyright.
It,
Copyright.
like the little
infringement
box.
detected.
Man, dude, YouTube
Canceling.
fucking sucks. The little box is like I click on the change this image thing, and the box is like clipping into the corner. Like I can't click it.
Yikes.
Can we just use a different site? We need the Discord of video.
We need Vessel.
Vessel.
Where are you, Vessel?
Yeah, Vessel
No,
wasn't
no,
good
no.
enough.
If
though.
we get a Discord of video, we're just gonna crash it out. It's gonna get bought out by someone.
Here, I'm gonna share this picture with you guys so you understand my pain.
All right. Then I have a fun news story as well.
Just wait, go. There we go. See, look at that. Look, you might not notice it, but there's like the little box in the bottom where
Yeah,
like there's an
sick.
X. That's where I'm supposed to change the image. I can't.
Right.
It's blocked.
Wait, you can't close the sidebar at the top?
Oh, I mean, even if I could, I imagine that it's not going to change anything.
Maybe
Before
it'll
it changes
you'll
every
minimize
time.
the sidebar.
Sidebar.
Holy crud. Do you have a sidebar? Wait, you did. You actually do have a
Oh,
sidebar.
no.
It's Hayley.
Oh no.
LJY.
Speaking of which,
Var-
we
Var,
completely
his first
glossed
love,
over this.
replaced.
Because this is a TTV podcast, Hayley, this is your
It doesn't
first
help.
appearance on the TTV podcast.
Hayley! Party
Yay,
time!
I noticed that before it started too. That's
Wow,
epic.
so did I. I just haven't had a good opportunity to mention it. Thank you very much.
Hayley, what do you have to say to this?
Okay, well, I wasn't being
I
darky,
thought this
but
was a Captain
that's
Marvel podcast.
It is.
Baited.
It's TTV Podcast 312.
Marvel. I have nothing.
It doesn't help. See, look,
But it's great.
it's broken.
Alright, it's great. It's broken. Anyway, I have a funny story before we...
Halo, call it Haley Halo. Halo, I want you to know.
Hayley Reach coming to PC.
Oh my god!
Oh no.
Haley, I want you to know that I have to dislike you by proxy since you're so associated with Meso.
No.
Wow!
Nothing
What have I
personal,
been used
kid.
to?
Well, I already knew that, so it's
Well, I didn't dislike you before, but I've only come to the realization
it's
that I
a lie.
have
It's
to
okay.
now.
It's okay. You don't have to lie to me.
Okay, that's fine. You want to be like that? That's fine.
And thus, the rivalry was born.
Okay,
Apparently, there are 2 intros on the part 4 of Danganronpa.
Wait, really?
Yeah. We just got a comment from Stephen Armstrong 18 minutes ago. 2 intros? Question mark.
Editing fail.
Oh my god.
It was Meso.
Just crop it out. It was actually me.
Well,
All the more reason to hate Meso right now.
Holy crud.
Crop it out.
Hit-
That'll be
Let's
great.
hit that YouTube editor.
So I have a few comments before we talk about the Endgame trailer, and then we'll talk about Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. I forgot about that.
First of all, comment in the patron chat from Brother from Another Brick on the first TTV podcast in 1 month. When is the next Brick Feed episode?
Hold up.
Well, I mean,
Hold the phone button.
It's a good question because
Brickfeed's canceled.
no, it's not. We used to have a
What?
really consistent schedule when it came to podcasts, and that got what's the term? Exploded. So
To be fair,
Look, things
I
haven't been
do
the same
take-
since the war.
I do take minor umbrage with the consistent schedule. Now, I don't,
That set sucks.
Yours?
you know, I may not put as much emphasis on a consistent day as you do, Mr. Recap Review,
Huh?
but I hardly think either we do it on Thursday or we do it on Friday is wildly inconsistent. It's still
well, no,
in the
I'm not.
week.
What,
It's
what,
still
what,
like,
what? No, I'm not. Meso. I mean the podcast.
for instance.
podcast
What?
alternate is what I was getting at.
Well, yeah, I know, but also days of recording.
Well, I mean, sure, but
That's another
my
matter.
point was more so that the podcasts actually alternate. There's not a
Okay,
lot of
I'll
lead
do it.
time into what we who knows what we're doing when. That was my point.
I changed my mind. I need the full resolution.
Way ahead of you, buddy. Sent it in the Epidemic Panda chat, general.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
annoying.
Notice how that's
It's,
not a thank you, Eljay. You're such a good friend who thinks about the future.
It's the kind of thing where I always want to do a TTV
Thank you,
podcast.
Meso, for not being LJ.
You're welcome. But usually what happens
I'm
is
so
either nobody cares to talk about what we're wanting to talk about, or Lego News comes out to preempt what we're talking about, so we got to do Brick Feed instead. Or nobody shows up but like X and Mange.
All
And
right,
then
guys, our new channel artwork is up.
All right, got it. Thank you, Var and Eljay.
See,
Mostly
that's what a
Eljay.
good friend
And
does.
Nerf.
They thank their friends. Oh my gosh, it actually is.
I
You're
did
welcome,
thank my
Meso.
friend.
Holy crud, it's actually up. This is
You did it, Eljay. This is your big
Okay.
break.
this is my
This
big
is
break.
moment.
epic.
15,000 subscriptions. 'cause
I kind of like it. In a way.
And
Let's keep it for now.
It's off center and really dorky.
I actually really like it. It's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
I've
Prpl,
made a
you
huge
better
Comment you
mistake.
hated.
I've made a huge mistake.
Prpl, how does it feel to be replaced?
Oh,
See, this is what I'm talking about. Meso's such a jerk.
Oh my gosh.
had all this time to crank out some channel artwork, and LJ upstages you in 5 minutes. How does that feel?
My goodness.
Prpl, you do great, excellent work. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
See, the thing is, I'm not even like actually ticked off or anything. But you guys like saying I should be ticked off, it's like picking me off. So
Stop ticking me off. It's nothing to be upset about.
Mage every day.
Oh my gosh.
This is what I'm talking about, everybody. Meso's living it up. You see, this is what I mean. Meso's a jerk now.
I live
All
for
right,
this environment.
chucklehead, listen up.
Okay, so time to
The in-game
get
trailer
serious.
was pretty cool.
No, there's something else. Something else
on.
that's funny has come out that's like, even saying this sentence that I'm about to say is like the equivalent of like kicking a puppy when it's down.
Just about-
But I have to say it. Flash star Ezra Miller will pen his own script in a desperate bid to stay on as actor. From the Hollywood Reporter. He's so scared that the Flash movie is gonna get canceled. He's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. And he's writing his own script
His own
because nobody else wants to.
his own darker script, he says.
Yes, it's gonna be darker.
Oh, well.
What?
I was about to say that could actually make it much better, but I don't know if darker is the direction he's going for. Then I have no
Yeah,
idea.
especially like since him as how he portrayed Flash is like
Yeah.
Clown.
contrary to that. Yeah, exactly.
Like after Shazam, it's gonna be weird.
Now, he's co-writing it, too. He's co-writing
Yeah.
it with Grant
Flash
Morrison,
is so funny.
Yeah,
who's
Grant
apparently a
Morrison,
comics
that's awesome.
author.
I was about to say I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Let's see, it says...
It's a pretty good, pretty big name.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Ezra Miller is writing The Flash with the notable comics author Grant Morrison.
That I
Yeah.
mean that
Yeah.
doesn't sound
as
bad.
clowny as it is, to like just say that sentence, I have endless respect for that because he's like, nobody else is gonna like get this project going. You know what?
I'll do
Give
it
me a comics
myself.
author. I'll do
What?
it myself.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's something that could actually work because it sounds like he's dedicated to getting the movie done. He wants it to be a thing. He wants a job, obviously, so he's gonna try his best to get the movie going. So I think
respect it.
that could actually lead to a pretty good movie. It
Yeah.
sounds like they have the right mindset going into writing it. So, I mean that
Yup.
could very well actually, like, they could pull it off.
I wish people there was
progress
more
than the
like
Batman movie.
exactly. I feel like DC is just like it's like a tornado swept through all of their plans and just scattered them into the wind. Like so,
Well-
I really admire whoever's like sticking with it and is like, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the
Yeah.
thing is, like they've been making these movies in a really desperate attempt at catching up to Marvel. But like the problem with all of these movies is that they're movies being made solely because they need to be made so that they can catch up with Marvel. That's the only reason they're coming out. It's just to make a
Yup.
quick buck. But like if you have people who
I don't know.
are
I still say they're good. I still say they're very good movies. I
All of them?
support them.
Well, very
Yes,
good.
all of
Alright.
them. I like
That's
all
a
of them, except for
Alright.
the original Superman one.
it's okay, we're all wrong sometimes.
Oh, here we go.
Wait, Matoro,
There,
you like
there are some wrong opinions out there.
BVS?
What? Elaborate. What does this mean? What is
Define
this?
like.
Batman v
Do
Superman.
you like-
Batman v Superman?
Oh yes.
Okay, hold
Yeah,
on. Let me get this out of the way. Do you unironically like Batman vs.
Yes.
I actually enjoyed watching Batman v Superman.
So
too,
let's
except
talk
for
about
that
the
one
what's the
scene.
definition?
Batman v Superman
life.
made me so mad. I had to blow like $100 out of my wallet just to make me feel like a
Well,
person
every-
again.
controller.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
it,
got
it
that
almost had
controller.
like the opposite thing of like other shows, like where they like hype it up. Like people hyped it up to be so bad that when I finally saw it, I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a fine
definitely.
movie.
I'll
There's nothing wrong with it.
I actually do defend the movie, but I wouldn't say I like the movie. Like,
I don't know if
It's
I could
enjoyable.
ever do it again.
What was I talking? I was gonna say something and then you completely derailed me.
I've seen it 3 times, and each time I find it more enjoyable, especially the extended cut.
Because
I can
Meso, we
see-
should watch it again.
I can
Yeah,
see what they were
the,
going for with it.
The ending's really good.
Yeah.
It's a complete like botched job of any kind of characterization. It's a Frankenstein monster of a film that smashes like 4 movies into an unholy like piece of cinema, but it kind of works. I kind of enjoy it.
I feel like the Marvel movies for me are just bad, but like at least the DC movies are fun.
Well,
Hot take
okay.
over here.
All right.
I don't know about that.
Mhm, all right.
Also, I gotta point something out. I looked up Grant Morrison, and as we were talking about this, I was on his Wikipedia page, and just kind of scrolled down. I wasn't actually reading anything, and my eyes landed on this one sentence where the controversy continued with Morrison's publications of the New Adventures of Hitler.
Dude, my favorite superhero.
Today, DC has announced, Warner Brothers has announced they are letting Grant Morrison go as the co-writer of the Flash script.
Flash movie DOA!
Comics published a while ago.
Am I
Due
too
to its
soon?
use of Adolf Hitler as its
Hydra.
lead character. Guys, I have
Well,
to post the cover to this.
Well, okay.
I'm not going to post it on the
For
podcast.
that.
All right, fine.
If something happens to him over that, that's like James Gunning him, because that was in 1989.
What is this? Mr. Hitler's holiday.
Holy crud.
Oh my god.
Why? How?
I know. It's just one of those things you shouldn't touch. You just leave it
We
alone.
don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm just...
It's funny.
All right.
Be
So,
quiet.
Grant Morrison, everybody.
Grant Morrison.
And other,
Yeah. Now that I'm done laughing at
James
DC.
Wait, don't forget Shazam. That one looks like it's gonna be a very good movie.
It does. I have a lot of confidence in that movie. It just it
If
oozes
that one
charisma.
hits, if that one hits
Really?
really well, then there's probably gonna be a Flash
I
movie.
feel like he's freaking me out because I think I'm talking.
You don't even sound like.
Like I keep hearing her, and then I'm like, "Oh, is that my voice echoing?" And then I'm like, "No, it's not."
Matoro, you're a special person. You're a special kiss.
Thank you for being on.
Really glad we have this podcast.
I'm really glad we had this chat.
Unintentional comedy gold was obtained. We struck it.
Oh my god. Anyway, so now that I'm done laughing at DC, let's cry at Marvel and the somber death flags in the Endgame trailer.
all right, if you haven't seen the Endgame trailer, we're going to talk about the Endgame trailer. So if you're going to Endgame
yes.
with
This is
no
the one-
expectations, you might want to tune out
Count
for the
this
rest of the
week.
episode.
If you don't want to hear discussion, just end
So
listening.
much. There's really two big things to take away from this trailer because let's be real, it was a nothing trailer.
Yeah.
You know, we learned nothing about the plot from this trailer. They're still keeping it vague, which, by the way, I have nothing but respect for, and I'm so grateful they're doing.
I'm so glad they're doing that.
It's a wonderfully cut trailer because it equal parts pays homage to the past with a lot of flashbacks and characterization from the big three, you know, Iron Man, Cap, and Thor. But it also has like the entire ladder.
Uh-oh.
Black and white, very old.
Very.
And yes, Matoro. Have you seen the trailer, Matoro?
No.
But
I'm just
Matoro, you're...
And
yes.
also-
That's interesting.
like Batman v Superman.
Yes.
LJ is combusting.
I think it's all good.
Oh,
LJ's stream combusted.
Well, it's not the stream, it's my headphones.
oh,
Because
thank goodness.
Can we just keep talking then?
Yes,
you should be good now.
You can keep talking.
All right.
I'll check the stream real quick and make sure it's okay.
The stream should be fine. It's my headphones that are falling apart.
The stream definitely cut out. I just went and listened to it. It cut out for a good 30 seconds to a minute.
No.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not.
No, he's
Press
not.
F
Curse of
for
Endgame.
Deadmatoro.
Because it's like, So my headphones are falling apart in my hands.
All right,
So-
so the stream was cutting out as well.
I have to hold them in a certain
No.
position to make sure that they're working. So
Oh, I know that
Crumbling.
feel. I know that feel
And
all
the-
too well.
the reason why it matters is because anything I hear goes directly into the stream. So if I don't hear anything, stream don't either.
That's
Oh,
really
what the heck?
weird.
So
All right. Either way, I think it's stabilized for now. Yes. So it was an awesome trailer. That's the big first thing. They're able to show absolutely nothing, but still show enough to entice people. The second big thing to take note of is whether, well, there's one big controversial point. Do you want to explain it, Var? Because you're a proponent of it.
Well, I
it's
didn't
a
realize
big talking point.
I didn't realize how big of a talking point it was when I actually pointed it out. It's kind of fascinating how after the fact other people seem to be spotting it too.
Well, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So like basically, we've gotten 3 promotional things from Endgame so far with footage. It was the first like teaser trailer, then the Super Bowl trailer, and then now this full trailer. Throughout all of it, Iron Man has been in the same place. You know, he's been stuck in Nebula's or the Guardian ship. I think it's a Guardian ship. Whose ship is that? Is it Nebula's?
It's Nebula's that she flew to the planet, I
no,
think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Or
sure
he might have built the ship off of Titan.
I'm pretty
It's definitely not the
sure-
Milano.
What?
Well, the Guardians got a new ship.
Yeah, but they didn't have their ship.
Yeah, but
That's not
they
their
didn't get the
ship.
Titan in it. Nebula showed up to fight Thanos.
But it wasn't in that. It was
We
in a
don't know.
really small craft, I thought.
Maybe.
Well, I'm not really sure how
'cause-
big this ship
Yes.
is.
The
Guess we'll have
Guardians.
to go back because she like crashes it into him.
Yeah, not only
Yeah.
does she crash it into him, the Guardians had to get on board the giant space donut somehow.
No, they.
Touche.
That is
That's
true.
true.
They did show up.
Before they. No,
They
oh my
had to
God.
have had their own ship.
Yeah.
So it could be the Guardian ship. Either way, so I mean, we've only seen footage of Iron Man in the ship. We haven't actually seen him anywhere else in any other scenes outside of that one place. He's been recording these very like somber, kind of like sad messages that seem to be a big like narrative pool for all 3 of these trailers. But there is a shot at the end of this trailer, you know, it's where the Avengers are wearing their cool new uniforms. It's a very like awesome, like, oh yeah, it's stuff's about the fan now kind of moment that they book in the trailer on, and it's really cool. But I noticed that the scene is very weird, like it looks very strange. And obviously it gives me flashbacks of all the other times that Marvel has intentionally like changed the footage in post for their promos. We saw it with Infinity War with Hulk in the final like running shot for that trailer where he was
And with
added to the
Spider-Man and
scene.
Civil War.
Yeah, and with Spider-Man in Civil War, although that one's a bit different. But either way, we know that they have this technology where they can kind of adjust the placement of characters within a scene. I've watched some like behind the scenes of Civil War in particular and how they made the airport fight. That entire location is completely fake. It's all CGI.
Yeah.
And it's just the characters basically being like composited into a scene
Oh, wow.
through CG. Yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
That's why it's so easy for them to like change the placement of characters and like add people and subtract people and stuff because the entire thing is basically CGI.
It's all a sham.
And I would say that's most likely the case for that Infinity War clip as well.
Interesting.
So, doing a bit of looking at that scene, it looks like it is a composite shot. It looks like they built this set within a CG program, like it's a 3D model set of the interior of the Avengers headquarters, and they have different shots of the characters like walking through it.
Because in the TV spot, they weren't in their like suits.
Right. So if you look in the TV spot for the Super Bowl, it's the exact same scene with the characters walking down it, but they're not in the new suits. They're in their old classic uniform, their classic look. And it's the same shot. You can like the lighting is exactly the same and everything. So they're able to change and adjust this scene for whatever reason, their own purposes. And I noticed while watching the end, like this new Endgame trailer, that the order of the characters walking is a little wonky. But like through the way it's cut. So like you would think the order is. I typed this out actually. Let me find it.
Yeah. The big pull to this point being that Tony and Nebula are there in the group shot.
Right.
And
So
the lineup doesn't necessarily work with that.
The lineup is weird, right? Because it starts with Captain America. It shows him at the front of the line. Behind him, you see Nebula, and then it cuts to another shot focusing on Ant-Man. He's standing next to Nebula, and Hawkeye is in the background, and you can see Cap at the front again. But then we get another shot after that focuses on Black Widow, and the order is now changed. Now Tony Stark and Black Widow are between Nebula and Captain America. So they've been added when they weren't previously there. The order just changed.
Cap to Bucky, I'm with you till the front of the line.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that scene's really weird, and I think it's another one of those composite images, and I think it's been modified to misdirect.
Well, okay. The big point that it all relates to is if they're setting up that Tony is stranded in space, why would they spoil that he gets out of space in the first actual trailer for the movie?
Because they're trying to make us think that he's going to make it out.
Exactly.
And
he is a dead man.
I don't think he's going to be there for the final fight.
He's freaking dead. It's
I
over.
don't know. Like, I don't know what happens, but I still feel like if Doctor Strange saw what outcome is needed, I don't think he'd plead to Thanos for Tony's life just to be sadistic and let him die just to slightly.
Well, it's not sadistic. it's a matter of what.
No, I mean it's just like I'm going to spare you so you can die slightly later.
Harry Potter spoilers. You kept him alive so he could die at the right moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't think it's sadistic. I think it's the only solution that Doctor Strange saw when he was going through all the other alternatives. There was nothing else to do. The only thing he could do at this point in time to change the outcome was to let Tony survive this fight. Because if he died in this fight, there was no hope, right?
What do you think he'll offer from? Do you think?
Well, that's why I pointed out
the effect of what happened to him, or it's
I think it's part of. So here's what happened in Endgame or in Infinity War, right? Previously, Tony was going to die. What happens if Tony dies in that fight versus what happens if he doesn't? If he dies in that fight and Thanos still wins, the people who got zapped still get zapped, plus Tony is now dead, leaving only Nebula and Rocket on Titan.
No, Rocket is on Earth.
Or no, yeah, Rocket's not even on Titan. So yeah, leaves only Nebula alive. So what happens then? What does Nebula do? Is she going to go to Earth? Why would she go to Earth? How is she going to get to Earth if her ship is destroyed? What could she possibly do to change any outcome? But if you leave Tony alive, one, he can repair the ship to get Nebula to Earth. Two, he can leave behind the message of what happened on Titan for the rest of the Avengers to find. They can listen to that message. They can hear that Doctor Strange saw several outcomes and that this is the pathway to defeating Thanos in the long run. So I think the messages that Tony is recording right now, these audio logs that we keep hearing in the trailer, these are the important things.
Yeah, I would say it's a matter of hope. It's the difference between dying on a battlefield a galaxy away, where no one will ever hear from you again, and dying in a way to give a spark of hope to those left behind. It's eerily similar to the whole meaning of Coulson's death in Avengers, where him dying was whatever. The death knell for the Avengers, the thing that made them all feel so guilty, was the playing cards that Fury dealt to them. For that reason, that was the push they needed.
Yeah.
Well,
it was the difference between Coulson dying somewhere far off and him dying with that personal connection.
So
Tony
But
Stark
also,
the cards are fake, so what if Tony's death is fake? Thank you.
well, either
I mean,
way.
I like one. Well, sure, I think it's part the rallying call of Tony's death being more personal. They get to see that now, but also I think the important part of that is that they now know that Doctor Strange saw something.
And to
I
piggyback
think that's
off that,
I think that's
there's
the big
there's
changing outcome here.
There's a giant time skip when we see that with Scarlett Johansson's hair. Like there's gonna be a giant time skip, and so by the time that it takes for the message to get to Earth to get that little
Right, it'll be that time
hit
that
out
when
nothing, yeah, it'll be that
Exactly.
moment when they think all hope is lost until they get the message from
they
Tony.
get that message and they learn.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So there
There is
however many outcomes where there's no hope.
Mhm.
This is the outcome that Doctor Strange found that did have hope. That's the importance. They're getting that message because otherwise, if Tony had died on Titan in the battle with Thanos, they would never get that message. They would never receive anything. So they would continue living out their lives on Earth, thinking that their friends just disappeared. They would never know what happened, and they would never know that there's hope at all. So they never had that motivation or that drive to then attempt to fix anything. So I think that's a big change. And obviously, like, I was of the opinion that Captain America would be the one to bite the bullet.
I think they're both dead.
I don't think that's off the table, of course. I don't.
Yeah.
But I did notice as I was thinking about this and the weirdness of the trailer that there has been this thing with Chris Evans where he's been very vocal about his contract expiring and how like this is probably going to be his last movie. And then on Twitter he posted a tweet like saying like how he appreciated being a part of the MCU and loving the fans and all that thing. It was a very like death flaggy tweet that makes it seem like this is his final movie. But I was thinking about that and I was like, it's interesting that he's been able to get away with saying very death flaggy comments in both interviews, on Twitter, social media, and being pretty public about it without any kind of comment from Marvel at all. Nothing. Meanwhile, RDJ has been very radio silent about his role in Infinity or in Endgame. He hasn't really said anything at all, as far as I know, about the
I'd be
movie.
surprised if it was like encouraged, like, hey, like hint at
That's what I'm
this.
thinking. I think it might be part of the misdirect. I think part of the campaign for this movie is that they're intentionally making a misdirect where we go into the movie believing that Tony Stark is going to make it to the end fight. I don't think it's going to be the case. I feel like it's part of the promo there.
I think T. Lee Khan in the patron chat kind of nailed what I was thinking. He's like, I don't think that Tony, sorry, not T. Lee Khan, XD, it was Rodimus. I don't think Cap is going to die, italicized. I think maybe he's done. I don't know if he's going to be like dead.
Right. Well, yeah. He'll probably retire. That's fair.
I think that all these theories, they're very plausible, nay, likely, in fact. There's just one added piece of the puzzle that I feel like I should put forth, and it's a result of promo imagery and toy marketing, which I know is not always, super reliable. But there was a promo image released for Endgame that features the characters with their new appearances. I'm going to post it in Marvel Spoilers, even though it's not spoilery. We don't have a Marvel Spoilers chat, do we?
No.
All right. Well, I'm just going to risk it. It's just a picture of them in their costumes. All right. The big thing here is that there's a new Iron Man suit. I don't think we've seen that Iron Man suit before. And I question whether they would make it to not use it.
Did you post it?
Yeah, it's a superheroes discussion.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing. It could be another part of the misdirect, or they could save Tony by retroactively changing history and or alternate reality, and then he dons the new suit.
If
So
they kill
that
off
is
Tony so early, then that means that they have to do time travel to save him.
Yeah. So okay. So this is part of the theory as well, right? So now I'm saying that Tony Stark is going to die. I'm saying all these things. I also made a prediction that I feel like not only is Tony going to die, but he's going to die very early in the film. I don't think he's going to make it off of that ship. I think it's likely that it's going to be the first act where he's going to kick the bucket. And through some kind of like hoops, they're going to jump and maybe bring him back into the fray, like from a different timeline or something. Because I mean, there were like shots, like scene shots. I don't know if that counts as spoilers or not. That imply some weird things going on with the story.
Yeah, well,
So-
refrain from mentioning this.
Yeah,
I
I
know
won't go
what
into
you're
any details. I won't go into any details about that, but there's some weird stuff going on. So
Indeed.
I definitely think it might there's more to it than just he's dying.
I
But
agree.
I do think he is going to kick the bucket.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he died early on and then was back later, but we don't know any of the time traveling details of this.
Yeah, I will say that
The
this
MCU.
new Iron Man suit is like it is new. It's different. It is basically the same suit from Infinity War. There's very small differences, and by small, the only difference I can really see is the shoulder pad.
Yeah, that's why people
Yeah.
were saying it's probably real, is because it would be a modification of what we last had. If they wanted to do a bait and switch, they could use like an older suit, or like actually make a new suit and then not use it. That'd be a good bait and switch. But I don't know.
So, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. No one knows what's going on. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that they've obviously intentionally been changing things and making it very difficult to figure out on purpose.
Yeah.
So
The marketing for this movie is brilliant. It's
yeah. So I mean,
good.
if anything, these theories that I'm coming up with are probably exactly what they want us to think. You know,
Mhm.
like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, the excitement that I see in all the reactions for the trailer when they see Tony in there, everyone is instantly relieved and happy that he made it back to Earth. I think that's the biggest trick that they're making is that no, he's not going.
He's
back
not going to
to
make it back.
Earth. He's
Exactly.
not gonna make it back. Which is going to be the biggest shock when they go into theaters, and if he does die in the first scene, then everyone's be like, "Wait a second, he was in the shot. Like, what's going on?" Which could
Mhm.
be create angry fans, but at the same time, we're letting them.
I
do
know
it,
why they've
you know,
started
so-
doing
Hey,
this.
where's the scene where all the Avengers are running in Wakanda?
I mean, it's great. Like,
Yeah.
it's great why they're doing this now, and I really respect it. Normally, I'm not into disingenuous marketing. I know Vin made a point off recording, like, I don't like being lied to in my marketing. I tend to agree. I make an exception with movie trailers and Marvel movie trailers because of one specific instance that I always point back to with Marvel movie trailers. And that is Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Because they have a line in the trailer where Nick Fury is like, "Looks like you're giving the orders now, Cap," and he's bloody and brutal, like, and bandaged up and chilling. So when Nick Fury died in that movie, I didn't buy it for a single solitary second because I knew he was going to show up later, looking worse for wear, passing the torch off to Cap. They need to be selective about the scenes they put in their trailer. Lines and scenes that seem like they'd be cool trailer shots may end up inadvertently spoiling some things they'd rather
I thought you were going to refer to Age of Ultron Japanese trailer.
No, I don't count the internationals.
That it's interesting you bring that up though, because I on one hand I agree with Vin. I don't like being lied to when it comes to the advertising and marketing. The movie that I think of is Iron Man 3 for sure. That movie absolutely lied about the movie. But here's the thing: I don't necessarily think the Infinity War trailer is lying about anything. There was a scene in it that was very cool that we didn't technically get, but we did get in a variation of it. But I think ultimately, so long as the trailers are conveying what the movie is, and that is, that's the movie that you get, they're fine. The problem with Iron Man 3 was that the trailers were conveying a very dark, serious movie that's going to bring Tony to his darkest place yet. And with this villain that's going to be this ultimate like terrorist threat that knows Tony's location and completely screws him over and all this stuff. And that really is
the most lighthearted Marvel. I mean,
exactly.
Iron Man.
It didn't capture what the movie was at all. That trailer definitely lied about what that movie was. Infinity War did not. The movie that I saw in the trailer was the movie that I got. Even if the scenes were a little different. So I don't mind that.
All
but
right.
yeah. So I don't know. I think Tony's gonna kick the bucket. There's some weird things going on with the plot. We haven't really figured it all out yet. We'll see when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Ditto.
I don't.
I know- I know-
I think we might get one more trailer. I would say maybe not like anything
enough.
majorly.
I
different,
don't think we're gonna
but
get
I think
anything
we're gonna
else.
get-
Another trailer.
Don't give
I feel
me
like
anything.
this trailer came so
It's
late
not
in the
necessary,
game
but-
that I don't think we're gonna.
Well, it
get
also
another
came
one.
unexpectedly too. Well, I think it's because of Captain Marvel, but
They dropped it out of nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
One final thing I wanted to say also, just to kind of wrap up the Tony theory, is that I noticed that from the marketing like of the poster, Tony's got like a floating head kind of thing. He doesn't really seem like he's a part of the cast as much as he is like a bigger, like he's got the bigger picture kind of feel to it, which
Mhm.
makes me like think that it's Tony's character and like the memory of Tony that's going to be carrying
Yeah.
his presence in this movie more so than his actual like physical presence.
Yeah, we don't even.
This
see
is where Tony would be if he was alive.
Like
Yeah.
the suit is usually a big part of the poster, but we don't even get to see anything for Iron Man. It's just
Right,
Tony.
exactly. It's just his head kind of floating off, like looking above everybody. Right.
Mhm.
That's what makes me think that. And also just like Infinity War being very much Tony's movie, leaving kind of Cap to kind of be in the background. It seems it's flipped for this movie. It seems like Cap is going to be at the forefront of this movie, and Tony is gonna take a step back. So
which is fine.
that's basically all I have to say.
All right. Any other thoughts?
Cool.
Before we
Epic.
transition to Captain Marvel, the
You
one
saw-
thing about Captain Marvel is that we see that she appears right after Infinity War, and yet there's a time skip. So
Yes.
there's a big question mark there for her role in the film that I guess we don't even know. Like, what is she going to
We'll
do?
see.
So it's very interesting that
Now-
she's not there for that long. And doesn't look much older.
Yeah, okay. Let's use this as a springboard. Normally for any other movie, I would be like, this podcast is fine. We don't really need to tack the movie on to the end. We could just do that in a separate recording, even though we planned on this being a Marvel review initially. With Captain Marvel, I'm gonna make the exception. We'll just talk about it for one reason and one reason alone. There really isn't a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah.
I think everyone in this call, besides Matoro, has seen it. I think that's fair. Hi, Matoro. How you doing?
Hey,
How's life?
Yeah.
Is
Pretty
life
good,
treating you well?
yeah, how are you? Yeah, pretty good.
I'm doing great.
Oh my gosh.
So, here's where I think we can say there was a lot of pre-release controversy about this movie for a multitude of reasons. Some we won't go into. I guess a safe one to tackle is the trailers, which I think we can unanimously say were not good.
They
The
really
trailers-
undersold this film.
So bad. Oh my gosh.
The
Yeah, they
trailers
were
are
very
they're some of the worst Marvel movie trailers ever. I think the second one was better than the first, but it still wasn't great. It set a precedent for the movie. The three biggest problems I always took from the trailer was, number one, these trailers do not convey the tone of the movie, nor its identity. Number two, they're telegraphing the twist way too early, which, okay, by the way, if you haven't seen the movie, bail, because we're going to talk about spoilers. 3, 2,
Yes.
One.
Spoiler.
spoiler time. Okay, they do telegraph the twist, basically immediately, with her memories at least. Not that that really was a twist, but even still, shouldn't have been in the trailers. And number 3, they didn't show off any of Brie Larson's charisma,
I
which
think
she totally has.
That's the biggest crime against this movie to me, is that they played Brie Larson like a freaking fiddle in these trailers. Like, they really screwed her out of some good marketing there, because I think going into this, we were like, everybody was like, man, she really seems very bland and uninterested. Wow, it does not seem like she's going to be very interesting or anything. Yeah,
And even if you don't like her performance, you gotta admit when you see the movie, it's leaps and bounds better than the trailers were.
it's completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, she's
Yeah,
so
there was a
charismatic and
little
like
more to
charming
her.
and funny.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah, Main still doesn't like her, but
I don't know. I mean, I thought she had way, like, I mean, whether it was good or not.
Yeah.
Compared to the trailer, yes, I think there was
Yeah,
there
she was so
more,
snarky.
There's more to her for sure compared to the trailer.
Like
I will admit that.
she has a deadpan snark, which is a good character trait, but it's not
Yeah.
easily conveyed in a trailer.
I mean,
I suppose, but like, I mean, you could have just like had the one scene where she's like saying, "Who do you see when you go see them? Is it me?" You know, and that one line already would have been like enough to kind of convey how snarky she is.
I don't know. I'm kind of with Invi here. She didn't exactly sway me with her naturally oozing charisma. I mean, it's definitely way better in the trailers. Trailers definitely undersold her. It was definitely a lot better than what we saw. Still,
Here's my thing with Brie Larson.
I think maybe I may have misspoke and conveyed a different opinion than I actually had. All I'm trying to say is I feel like she has more character in the movie. Than
Oh,
she does in the
definitely.
trailer.
Totally.
That's the only point I was making.
I, however, will die on the hill and say that I loved her performance. I think that she's basically the best way I could put it is she's like Tony Stark if he wasn't obnoxious.
So
Yes.
Doctor Strange.
No, he's like Tony Stark and also more obnoxious. Carol Danvers is like a mix between Cap and Iron Man. She has the kind of stoic sense as Chris Evans. Like, they're very similar in their performances, really.
No.
Yes.
No, I actually disagree with that one.
Yeah,
But
I
is
would.
Doctor Strange?
Chris
is
Evans is
Doctor
the
Strange really not
furthest thing.
obnoxious
He's
though?
not sarcastic.
Chris Evans plays it straight.
No,
No,
he's a
pretty
dude.
obnoxious.
but the thing is, he's not
He's a-
stoic.
He's a good dude, but he's not quipping all the time, nor is he yelling,
He's very
nor
stoic
is he like flipping out and doing like crazy things or joking or cracking smiles left and right. He has a quiet, reserved
Okay.
demeanor.
Okay.
Let me finish. And he actually does show emotion.
Yeah, but
Now-
these things are not. They're not the same as being stoic.
Carol
or
Danvers isn't
deadpan.
stoic.
Or deadpan.
Carol
I disagree.
Danvers.
I
What?
disagree. I agree with you, Meso. I disagree with Eljay.
Yeah, like there's two archetypes, two Marvel protagonists. You have like the Tony Stark or the Chris Pratt or the like the Star-Lord, Peter Quill, or the Doctor Strange.
The same thing.
And then you have like OG Thor, Cap, and like Carol Danvers. They're very similar in archetype. Carol's style of comedy and her style of relatability is the kind of deadpan, snarky sarcasm versus the quip machine that is Tony Stark or Peter Quill or like Taika Waititi Thor. And I actually appreciate that a lot because the quippiness of Marvel protagonists has always been one of my biggest critiques with them. They don't feel like real people. They feel like they're caricatures
They're
of their
comic
writing.
characters.
Comic book characters.
No,
Some people
I'm
like that. Some people are totally cool with that. But I think Carol Danvers feels like a person.
I
And I appreciate
don't
that.
think
See,
so.
okay, so here's my thing about it, is that yes, to an extent, I do appreciate there's more diversity in superhero personality. That, yeah, okay, cool. We have superheroes. Not everybody has to be like this big, bold person in terms of like speaking, but the problem is she reminds me of myself in terms of like humor. So it's like under her breath sort of jokes like. But the fact that it lacked emotion and that it kind of reminds me of myself, I wouldn't want to watch a movie with me as the star. So with her, just exactly. So I can't stand a movie where she's the front of it making all these jokes. I feel like the lines, like the jokes she makes, they're good. She makes really good jokes, but the fact that she says them so unemotionally throughout the entire movie, it makes it a lot harder for me. Just like for how long she gets screen time. I think in Endgame, since everybody gets a lot less time to themselves, I feel like it could probably work better than devoting a whole movie to someone that I feel was mostly two-dimensional with only two expressions, not two faces. She better not have two faces, but between just looking serious and having a smile on her face to make a joke, I didn't really feel like there was much in between. So.
I mean, you're not wrong there, but like, I never got the vibe. Maybe I'm just on an island. I never felt she was emotionless.
I don't.
or
Yeah.
boring.
No, I felt like some of the delivery was off on her lines, but it might have not been her. It could have been just like the writing.
See, I don't
The
think
writing
the
was
writing was particularly
very-
strong either.
Yeah, no, I don't think the writing did her any justice.
Yeah.
I think she kind of
Yeah.
worked with what she had. The writing for this movie was not very good. IMO.
No, I agree with that.
so-
I also think, honestly, this is the hill I'll die on. She was miscast. She's the one actor I will say certifiably was miscast for their role.
Elders says she has a Lego face, and that
No, I'm not talking about how she looks. I'm talking about.
Shouldn't that be perfect?
I'm talking about. I feel like there were better, more charismatic actors that could have pulled. That
I don't know. I don't. I think that's unfair to her. I think that's not doing her a lot of justice here. I feel like a lot of the faults of the character are more in line with what she has to work with in terms of the plot and how her character fits in it.
I don't
more
doubt.
so than it was her performance. I think she gave as good of a performance as you kind of can when your character is as kind of blank slatey as she was in this movie.
See,
I'm just curious
I'm
what you
not
mean
sure.
by miscast. What aspect of her like bugs you?
Yeah,
she's just
because
not.
that
She's
does
not
sound
very
weird.
charismatic, honestly. She just
See, I don't
doesn't.
know.
And I don't
I
think
definitely
that
disagree.
I don't think her being muted is a good excuse. Like her being, the Kree are keeping her down or whatnot. I don't think that's a good excuse, personally. I also don't think that.
I also didn't think that was true. She was
My-
like joking around with her friggin' Kree commander guy, villain. She had like banter with her team.
Well,
I think she. Go ahead.
Maybe Infinity
No, just
or
at the-
Endgame will
at the
change my
start.
mind.
Yeah.
At
I
the
think
start
Invi
when
might
she
be
spars
doing
with him, she spars with Jan Rog or whatever his name is, and he's like, "You got to keep your emotions down." What emotions? It's DDD.
Also, I've
Yeah, see, I can't relate to that. I
there's
think maybe
one
it might be
thing-
my hatred for quippy protagonists, which is tilting me in the opposite direction. But I prefer Marvel heroes like this. They balance the scale between like boring as dirt, zero personality like T'Challa in Black Panther, and too much personality like Tony Stark. Like this is the kind of hero I like watching. I'll
I'm
take a
just
movie
trying
with
to-
Carol Danvers any day.
I guess I'm trying to find I'm trying to think back and just think of like any moments in the film where I was like, wow, she's really bland and boring. Or like where like a moment where I was like, yeah, I feel like a better actor would have handled that better. I can't really like think of any like I keep thinking of moments where she's quipping with Jan Rog or she's sassing Nick Fury or she's like relating to her old friend who she lost her memories of and
I can think of one.
like momming it up with the little girl.
I can think of one that supports Eljay's viewpoint, and that is
Okay.
when they reveal that her team was evil and that her whole identity is like kind of a lie and that everybody's lied to her. They cut away from her reaction and they go instead to her like out in the field, like having already kind of processed it,
Yeah.
and they
But,
like abridge it.
But once again, that's not
That's a writing thing.
that's a yeah, it's a writing and editing
wasn't-
thing. It's
I'm
not
sure
so
her
much
reaction to that would have been great, but we just never got to see it. 'cause-
well,
yeah,
you
like
could
it-
you could infer
Never
if I
there.
was like I'm devil's advocating Eljay here. Sorry, Eljay. I know you don't like that, but maybe they did it that way because she couldn't convey that scene. Maybe they had a deleted scene of that, and they was like, she can't
Well,
sell it.
we kind of saw that scene without her in the field because that was a very emotional scene, and they did that very well.
Did they? Was it? I didn't feel very emotionally connected to that scene.
Oh,
And I'm not trying to say this to be
honestly,
incendiary.
I think it was because
I-
the sunset.
Wait,
like,
which
how that
field?
happened.
I don't know. I
It's the one where
'Cause
they
it
talk
didn't-
She was
about
like,
Hiroshima.
my whole life is a lie. You're Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I didn't feel like there was a genuine connection between Carol and what's her name? Her name's on tip of my
Her
tongue.
friend.
it doesn't matter. Her friend.
Okay,
I don't
her
know her
friend.
name either.
And I don't feel like there was a genuine connection there. It felt really rushed. It didn't seem like she was really processing this too thoroughly. It's like her entire worldview and perspective and everything up until that very moment obviously, and for the last however many years, completely shattered. And I'm sure that the rationale that a lot of people are going to say was, well, people react to things very differently. I mean, and that's fair. It just didn't. It didn't connect within everything else to me.
I mean, listen, for what it's worth, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I agree
Everything
with
you're
you.
saying.
Everything you're saying.
I think it's a problem of the movie doing a backwards twist.
Yeah,
we haven't even got to yet versus Brie Larson.
Which is fair.
I think you're attributing the blame to the wrong person. Is what it sounds like. Because I agree with you. I didn't feel anything for that yard scene either.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt like it was rushed, and I definitely felt like her connection with everybody wasn't quite where it should be when they revealed things. But like, I don't think that's her fault. That's a fault of the writing and the editing.
Which is possible.
Like it was poorly paced.
But at the same time, I gotta wait and see. You know what? Endgame is gonna probably change my. Maybe it'll change my mind. But if she's the same way, I guarantee it. If she is the exact same way in this movie as she is in Endgame, then it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb because she's gonna be surrounded.
Thorsome.
Thank you.
Thorsome.
I keep on thinking about the end scene with Carol and Thor, and when Thor walks up to her, there's just this aura of intimidation. And like he's doing the whole thing with the
then he
Stormbreaker.
sticks out his thumb.
And then he's like, no, I like this. I like this one. And he's all happy. And it just feels really genuine. It's just charismatic. If she is going to be surrounded by characters and actors and actresses who are just really charismatic, they're just constantly oozing character. And if she's the exact same way in Endgame as she is in her own film, that's going to stick out. It's going to be a massive negative.
I kind of agree because I do feel like
you can have charisma without being super
so I think
quippy.
She'll be fine with the others.
You can be charismatic and not be super quippy and super annoying. It's very possible.
I think let's wait until Endgame. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
I feel like this is just one of those agree to disagree things.
For now.
Yeah, it's fair.
I
can't say I felt terribly impressed by her usual generic stare in the scene with Thor, but I feel like if I was to watch Captain Marvel again, I would probably find less fault with Carol this time and more so with the just other parts of the movie, e.g. the writing.
Yes.
Okay. I just feel like it's this movie and not so much her, but yeah.
Here's the deal
I think
with other aspects.
I think it's
Sorry, go ahead.
possible. I think it really is. I'm just saying, in a kind of love isn't canon perspective kind of a deal, which I don't even think we've ever talked about. From my perspective, right here, right now, only having seen this film,
We've never talked about that.
my first experience with Brie Larson, A, as an actress, and B, Captain Marvel as a character, that is just how it seems to me. But I'm perfectly willing to be proven wrong.
I mean, my only counterpoint is like, did you not enjoy her banter with Fury, or did you attribute that all to Samuel L. Jackson?
I don't attribute it all to Samuel L. Jackson, but he was definitely pulling the majority of the scenes with him in it.
All right.
I don't attribute it all to him. Brie Larson, and Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers, so on and so forth, they all did admirably, but yeah, Samuel L. Jackson was pulling most of the weight of those scenes.
Eljay, I think there was a specific scene that you highlighted when you talked to me about it. And this could be more on the fault of the writing, but still the delivery wasn't the best. And it's when Jan-Rog is calling out to Carol and he calls her Veers for the last time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, my name isn't Veers, it's Carol.
that was like... It was like...
And on that note...
It's like... My name. You have this like super awesome character. It's as if I think what's that? Goku. Like if he was like doing his super like awesome hair thing and whatnot, and he sat there and like my name is Bob.
Wow.
Like,
my name isn't Kakarot, it's Goku.
or
Carrot cake.
Yeah, I have someone walking in a store for this epic showdown. It's like, my name is Karen.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I totally respect
My name
your right
is
to have
Steve.
acting preferences. I, without any exaggeration, think that Carol Danvers and Brie Larson's portrayal of her is like easily in my like top 5 Marvel protagonists.
Ouch.
I definitely wouldn't go that far. So.
Yeah,
I
you
really-
really
I thought
liked
she
this
was
movie,
a-
and I can't figure out why yet.
I thought she was a breath of fresh air in a world of like every Marvel protagonist feels the same, which I've never agreed with until recently when I've rewatched all the movies.
Yeah.
I agree. There's a certain style of the Marvel writing that is. I don't agree with all the DC fanboys who are like Marvel sucks because of it, but it definitely exists.
Well, I didn't see it in
definitely-
Infinity War when they were all there interacting.
Because the Russos are very good.
But they worked
The
with
team-up
original
movies-
directors. They worked with all the other
don't-
directors and writers.
Don't care. The writing for the Russo Avengers movies and Winter Soldier is leagues better than other movies.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the solo movies don't seem to get it right. It was like that with Black Panther as well.
Yeah.
In his solo film, he kind of sucked, but in Civil War, he was great. So I don't know what happened.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Point being, we'll discuss this in the future. I do think you have a point. I just don't agree with it. For the plot's sake, there's a few interesting things to touch upon. Number one being this movie was very archetypal, but it didn't present its plot in the usual way, which is kind of weird. I actually liked it. It's one of the reasons why I appreciate this movie. A lot of people don't, and I totally get it. This movie does what I like to call a backwards twist, which is in the trailers, they advertise a certain thing that everyone is able to figure out basically immediately, that she lived on Earth at some point, and then she became a Kree. And it's very obvious because you wake up, when she wakes up at the beginning of the movie, and she's like a human, and then they mention that she's on the Kree homeworld, you're like, she's a human, right? So she's a human that came to the Kree homeworld somehow. But they try to like go out of their way to subvert it almost by saying, oh no, there's these other human people who are also in the Kree armed forces, but they're just there because, like, I infer that it's because they're people from the Terran race who like live on Xandar or whatever. They're people from that species who are working in the Kree Empire simply because they've been enslaved. I assume that's what it is. The movie never says that explicitly, but I mean, that makes sense. And then throughout the course of the movie, you realize, oh, hey, guess what, guys? She's a human, and she came from Earth the whole time. And I'm like, all right, fair. And they take so long to get there. They drag their feet so much because the whole movie is like an investigation. They're like doing detective work to figure out, what happened to Carol, who is this, and what are the Skrulls after, and what's Project Pegasus, and who's Wendy Lawson, and the truth is just so simple. It's like a murder mystery where the killer gets shown at the start. It's like case 1 of an Ace Attorney game. For anyone who knows that. They always show the killer, like right at the start. They literally show the moment of the murder because it's a tutorial.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
In the first case, they always do.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It's a tutorial murder. This felt like a tutorial detective movie. And the only reason I'm not criticizing it up one side and down the other and saying I hate it is ironically because I found the camaraderie of the actors so enjoyable along the way that while they were solving that non-mystery, I was still entertained all throughout. Just seeing the people like bounce off each other, especially Talos. Ben Mendelsohn's Talos. And the Skrull twist in general was pulled off exceptionally well, and he added such a fresh dynamic.
Well, honestly, I knew the human thing like right off the bat, but what got me was like about like halfway through the movie, my Marvel brain was like, wait a second, aren't the Kree the bad guys and like everything else? And they're the good guys in this movie? Like that doesn't make sense. And so that rang a whole bunch of bells. And so when the Skrull like turned, I was like, oh, this should have been obvious. Why wasn't it obvious? And that's because the trailers like hardwired the fact that the Skrulls were the
So
bad
you
guys.
say that, and it's because we
Yeah.
know from stuff like Shield and
Mhm.
just general expanded media
And
and
Guardians of the
Guardians that the
Galaxy.
Kree are bad guys, but realistically they are a race with
Yeah.
different factions and militaries
guy-
and beliefs. The Skrulls are always the ones who are like, these are the villains, these are the
Yeah.
shape-shifting aliens, or whatever. This is a new
The
thing.
guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, not Ronan, the other guy, the robot dude.
Robot dude.
He's in the gang. Like he's in the gang with Carol in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, Korak.
He's a villain in Guardians of
Oh,
the
that
Galaxy,
dude,
but he
yeah.
started as a good guy, and this and that. That just didn't add up. But it's just, I really enjoyed this movie because that twist got me really, really good, and
Yeah, I didn't
it was a
expect the Skrull
great,
thing.
it was a great view.
I think there was
First
sort
view.
of like a red flag. I mean,
Yeah.
when
it
they
was
go to that
genuinely-
planet before she gets duped, and whatever the girl's name, the sniper, she's about to like shoot at the civilians, and then the Skrull tries to stop her. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of like a hint that hey, maybe they're not bad.
Telos had some of the funniest dialogue, and the twist was genuinely heartwarming
he
with
stole
the
the
family
movie.
aspect.
He
I
completely
sense you have umbrage, Var.
Actually, no. I
All right.
He stole the movie spot. Something else.
Var's rage.
I can barely hear you, Haley.
Oh,
You've been quiet this whole time. I've been trying to turn your audio up, but you've been really
Oh.
quiet.
my bad.
Yeah.
No. He's my
Bit
second
closer to your
favorite
mic.
character in this movie.
Don't do the.
Closer.
Oh no.
It sounded like
Closer?
you were saying something, but I didn't quite catch that. So,
Oh.
what was that, Haley?
He's my second favorite character in this
I meant
movie.
Before that.
Before that?
Yeah, you were like going off.
Oh,
on
he
a
stole the
tangent.
movie, and then I was like, wait a second, no, he didn't steal the movie. Someone else stole the movie, or something else stole the movie. So,
Haley's favorite
Okay.
part of the movie.
yeah. Not my
Goose.
favorite part, my favorite character.
Goose.
Goose.
So,
Anyways, to move on to better stuff.
Oh, I know.
Goose more like noose than I want to hang myself
Stop
every
it.
time he's mentioned.
No!
Please call the suicide hotline. And
Goose is
Mention
another
news
thing.
one more
Any
time, I
citizens.
might make one for me.
Goose is the thing that kind of ties into how I feel. But like, okay, so I guess to talk about the twists, I have to talk about like my general feelings of this film, and it's mostly negative.
Bah.
It's
that's
a
a
fine
twist.
movie, but it's mostly negative, and I think the twist kind of like pieces it all together. Because like for me, it's like I really don't like the tone of this film. I think that's the biggest problem with it. It's a bit too goofy, a bit too lighthearted. Things that should be serious aren't really that serious, and it's not really treated like they're serious at all. And I think the twist with the scrolls is a big, like, weird part of the film that I felt like would have been better if it was handled differently and it was in a different film. Because, like, I never really... the scrolls were off to me from the very beginning of the film. They were such, like, bumbling buffoons the entire movie. Like when she gets captured and she's running through the ship and she's just beating on the scrolls, and like she runs into she screams at them and scares them, or she runs into a room and there's like short little like goofy looking ones like on the control panel, and they turn to look at her and it's played for
Yeah.
laughs.
Mm-hmm.
So like the entire time I never once bought that the scrolls were a threat. And I feel like on one hand, it's because they're not a threat. So obviously within the canon of the film, they're just a bunch of aliens. So it makes sense for them to not really be that threatening. So when you do have that reveal, it all makes sense. But at the same time, as I'm watching the film and they're playing these scrolls as though they're the bad guys of the film, it's not working for me at all because they're goofy and stupid and not threatening at all. And then when the reveal comes that, oh, they're good guys, I'm just like, okay, cool, I guess. That it doesn't affect me one bit because they were already stupid to begin with. So I guess they're good guys. That's fine. So I don't know. It felt like something that would have been more impactful if we as an audience believed that the scrolls were actually something that was a threat. Like we're following the story from Carol's perspective, right? So why is it that I don't feel the same way that Carol does as she's interacting with these alien creatures? She believes these things are terrorists. Why don't I think they're terrorists?
Well, it's because the only reason is because it's Kree propaganda, basically.
Right.
If they had the
if
they had the Skrull do anything to be like terroristic, they wouldn't be sympathetic.
But that's my point, though, is that like the twist isn't that good because there's no twist for me. Nothing is surprising or shocking. The upset of the movie isn't that upsetting because it would have been, I don't know, it would have been better if we were witness, or we like bared witness to the Kree propaganda. We were convinced along with Carol by the Kree that these are the terrorists and that we were on the side of the Kree the whole time, only to find out halfway through that these people that we've been believing are in fact the bad guys lying to us. That would have been more impactful, and it seems like that's what they were kind of doing, but they didn't really commit to it, you know? Like it was
That's fair, and it also would have been easy to throw in like a quick video or some kind of like propaganda piece
where they're doing something that makes you think that they're bad guys, but it's never that way, and almost immediately it's obvious that they're not very threatening. So I don't know. And then like they have the scene where they're picking through her memories too, and you have like the lines from the main bad guy like quipping and stuff during that whole thing. It's just like, this is stupid. It's really dumb. I did not like the scrolls at all. I thought the twist was really poor, and I think it could have been handled a lot better. And it's that aspect of the film that I hate the most. The film isn't taken seriously at all. Nothing, like the entire tone is very tongue-in-cheek, but it's not to the point where like Thor Ragnarok, right, where it's so goofy, so silly that it's just like complete chaos. It's just like color, like just a rainbow of emotions that it makes it all worth it. It's not even like that because it doesn't commit to being that crazy and zany, while at the same time not committing to taking what should be seriously. So it's just in this weird middle ground where it's just like,
you know what it is? It's the middle ground. Yeah. It's the middle ground of a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
Specifically, a Phase 1 Marvel movie.
And
I don't mind that because I like the
very
Phase 1
well
Marvel.
shot Phase.
Oh my god,
movie.
you're so right. It didn't even click to me. This is a Phase 1 Marvel movie.
I mean, that's the common critique of it that I've been seeing. Is like,
Coulson's
it's fine.
in it.
It's fine. It's
gotta be Phase 1.
It's fine. It does nothing egregious, but the problem is it's boring. I look on it a little bit differently because I respect what they were trying to do, and the fact that the character interplay is so solid. That's what really made me like it. But I'm not gonna say like its plot is revolutionary. It's not. It has all the staples of a Phase 1 Marvel movie.
It does.
Including
it reminds me of It reminds me of the first Avenger a lot. Now that you bring up Phase 1, the feelings that I have to this movie are very similar to the feelings of the first Avenger, and I did not realize it until just now.
And while we're at it, since I've been saying that, I liked it and stuff, I may as well point out one of my 3 biggest gripes while we're talking about Phase 1 Marvel movies. The villain! He is, without a doubt, my 3rd least favorite Marvel villain. Right behind Malekith and Ronan, there's an argument to be made for him being worse than those, but I'm going to say not simply because Jude Law is a good actor. But dear God, what a non-character Jan Rog was. The one time they actually say his name in the movie, which, unless I'm mistaken, they only say it once, and it's barely.
Yeah, there was no way I was going to remember his name from that movie.
He has 0 presence, 0 motivation, 0 threat, 0 personality, 0 goals, 0 drive, 0 nothing. He goes from, in the span of one scene, wanting to spare the Earth and not have Ronan go kill everybody looking for the Skrull, to, hey, Ronan, I need you to come kill everybody, right now, because Carol, found stuff out. He's a character who exists solely to have a villain. And all the people who were like, Jude Law is going to carry this movie. I'm looking at you, Orion. I laugh at you. Because, oh boy, he did not carry this movie.
The villains are 0 threat to Carol.
What a waste of an actor.
And that
Yeah,
see that also
getting
ties
so
into my
again.
problem with the twist is that like if they had taken it more seriously, he could have been an impactful villain because he doesn't serve any physical threat to Carol. Playing the mental warfare that they were kind of doing would have been a very compelling, interesting story, but they never went with that at all. Like
No.
it, like the manipulation and stuff that he was doing would have been very fat. Like what they did with Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones and
Kilgrave.
Kilgrave, yeah. That's a very Young Rog kind of character handled
It is.
perfectly.
And they try to like they throw hints of it, like oh, I don't need to prove anything to you, but they never set that up as like a point in the movie, so it ended up falling flat when she has her big moment. I was like, I never knew you, I never got that you were being like oppressed or controlled by this dude. You seem to have a pretty friendly, like normal relationship with him. You know, he doesn't want to kill the Earth. That means he's kind of a cool guy. You know, he wants to beat the Skrulls. It's like it's fine. And even in the end, he's just a puppet of like the Kree Empire. He doesn't have any agency. He says like that they'll kill me for coming back empty-handed, and that implies that the only reason they didn't kill him the first time was because he brought Carol back. Like all he did was out of self-preservation, basically. The only reason he like took her under his wing is for some semblance of like control over his circumstance. You could argue he's like emotionally manipulative or abusive. That isn't enough to drive a villain when you don't show
And
that.
that's an interesting story to tell, is like the emotional abuse that this person has over this other person, especially when you start the movie believing that this is a good person.
Yeah,
Only
they
to
should
find
have
out that they're
really
evil.
They should have really gone in on that.
They should have. That would have been fascinating. It would have been different for a Marvel film. And you would think they would have done it because they've started. I mean, they've started kind of getting the hang of writing like actual like deep meanings in stories. I mean, I don't really like Black Panther that much either, but that film actually tried. Yeah, there was an attempt at doing something, and it doesn't feel like this one even did.
Yeah.
I see a situation, a belief going on that maybe they didn't write Yon-Rogg to be irredeemably evil, and why they left him alive is because he'll be back in sequels, maybe in like a supporting or side character role. But it's like I don't want to see this dude.
I don't want to see him.
He left no impact.
Yeah, well, they made him such a lukewarm person. It's like, is he really that evil? Like he kind of seems like just passively bad.
Yeah, he's just like he's a puppet of the Empire. That's not like an interesting character dynamic to play off of. So that's
like
my
one
crit.
dude in the Green Lantern.
I find
The red
Green
guy.
Lantern.
The red guy.
Haley.
Oh my
discount.
Yeah,
Discount.
I find that
Sinestro.
exceedingly every
Everyone's
single.
seen the Green Lantern.
You're right. No one's
Nah.
seen.
Oh my gosh. come
It's
on.
not. Listen, we know enough that
I mean,
it's
I
not
know
a good
the
movie.
story. I haven't seen the
Ryan
movie.
Reynolds knows it's not a good movie. We're not expected to see it.
But you have to watch to know what a bad movie looks like.
No, I don't.
I actually.
Come on.
I have seen Green Lantern. I just don't remember anything about
Which
it.
is awful.
Yeah, I don't. I remember there was bad CG, and that's literally it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a snooze fest.
But yeah, I find that like
Well,
as
they're
these
very
solo
similar
films
movies.
progress, every single time I leave the theater disappointed
Yep.
that they could have done something more compelling, but they didn't. I felt that way with Ant-Man and the Wasp as well. I felt like the villain there had something, they just didn't commit to it.
Yeah, Ghost could have used some more screen time.
I felt like that with Killmonger. They had something there. They could have gone a bit further with that. I think Killmonger probably did it the best.
The closest.
Yeah, he came the closest to achieving that goal. But it feels like conceptually these films are really good, but they're too Marvel-y to commit to.
And then there's
that.
Infinity War.
And
The
then there's
special case.
and then there's Infinity War, which goes all the way, and I love it.
Yeah.
Which
So,
is the complete opposite.
I mean, the Russo movies. Every
good.
Russo movie has done it. They've been able to pull it off. They've committed.
Yeah.
They've gone all the way. They're not shot. They're not afraid to do the darker stories.
This movie was very
Civil War was-
tame.
Yeah, Civil War was great because it ended in like a stalemate, in like a horrible stalemate.
It was a
Instead of, like,
somber.
solving it,
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was. I felt like almost disgusted walking out of the theater.
Yeah,
I was
just
I
like
can't
that.
believe
That last scene after Cap and Iron Man finished fighting, that was brutal. It's like, oh my gosh, what is gonna happen next to this?
Yup.
Mhm.
That was the way you do stakes without like having to kill people. It's like you felt the emotional impact, you felt the beats there, you resonated with the characters.
Yeah.
And those movies are still funny. They're still jokes.
Oh, Civil
you
War
can
is
still
so
have lighthearted
funny.
moments, you know? Like
Civil War is hilarious, but it's also
Yeah.
so dark.
So
I hate this tone. Like either go all the way or don't. Like Thor is able to do the comedy.
Yeah.
Like they
Nah,
went all the way with the comedy.
took him
It
3 movies.
did. No, you're
It's
very
like
right.
playing
When
it
I
safe
say
/
Thor, I
lose
don't mean
but-
Dark World and Thor 1. I mean Thor Ragnarok.
TD Thor. So my big 3 problems. Jan Rog is one, and you guys, helped extrapolate why I feel that way about him. It is more about the theming than him as well, but he, in general, just I feel is a representation of why the whole thing sucks. The conflict. Number 2 is, and I feel this is a good discussion to have, cringy moments. Eljay, you're very passionate about one cringy moment in particular.
Yes, I am.
Take it away.
Okay. Fury losing his eye to the cat is the dumbest thing in any Marvel movie ever.
So great.
100%.
Did it lie out for anyone else, or was that just me?
I think it was just you.
No, well, it might not be just you. Bottom
I
line,
heard what he said.
Fury losing his eye to the cat is the single-handedly worst part of any Marvel movie to date.
Okay, I would. What?
I
don't know if I'd go that far.
It is, yes, handedly. It is the stupidest thing to have happened in any Marvel movie thus far.
Even I'm an actor.
Yes, 100%. Even
honestly,
I'm an actor. Yes.
I actually, yeah, I agree. I think it's right in
No!
the same. It's
Oh, it's
right
so
in the
good.
same level. It's
Because
right.
Well,
you want to know why
nice
people.
idea.
You want to know. Wow, I can't believe I broke them up. Anyway, you want to know what the worst thing about the the Mandarin twist was? The worst part of it was the advertising. The only reason people disliked it is because the movie was advertised as being a movie that it ended up not being. That's why people were so ticked off. But in the actual sphere of the film, it's completely irrelevant. It's a perfectly serviceable twist.
I would say slightly differently. I dislike it because I just don't think Guy Pearce was as compelling as Ben Kingsley. But I get the point you're making.
Which is, I'm talking more, but you quoted exactly. I'm an actor. You're talking about the Trevor Slattery thing, which is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah, I
that's
do.
as stupid as Nick freaking Fury losing his eye, one of his most defining character attributes, to a alien cat.
A very
And this is for a
powerful
few.
cat.
This is for a few different reasons. But Var, please, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, it's not even so much that he loses his eye to an alien cat, as how they actually like orchestrate the scene on the screen. It's so laughably stupid that I cannot believe it passed test audience.
The more I think about it, I'm still fine with I don't think it betrays Winter Soldier, but I do disagree with how it was handled. I will agree there.
It's just a scratch.
I think it was funny the way they incorporated again and again. Rule of 3. Like when it comes back up, it's pretty funny. Like
It's a quick
just
one.
asking if it's gonna recover, and then Coulson bringing in the eyes. Like that is funny in a way, but you're not thinking about the long-term consequences of what this is gonna mean for all the other movies. Like really, this whole thing that's been with Nick Fury since the start, that's explained by a cat scratching out his eye at random. That's stupid.
Isn't it so great?
No, it's not great. Haley,
Not
it's
the
what we're
way they
saying.
set
It
it
isn't
up.
good at all. It undercuts an
It
actual.
really.
Haley, actually, not to throw you under the bus, you actually attempted to say in an off-air discussion that it was planned the whole time.
That is
because Nick Fury
so
obviously has claw marks
awfully
in Iron Man
ridiculous.
2.
I mean, you see the claw mark, right? It's not like his eye.
He's got a
is
scratch
completely
on his
stabbed.
eye. Do you know who else has a scratch on their eye? Any other character in media
Don't you
that
say
has lost an
Wolverine,
eye.
Because the Wolverine has freaking wide.
Haley, you do realize his eye isn't just been scratched. Like there's other damage to it outside of just the scratch, right?
His eyebrow got scratched too.
Like it looks like his eye was blown up. Like it looks like a grenade hit his eye. That's what it looks
Alien
like.
corruption.
Like, look at
Like,
that's
yes,
not
it's-
just a scratch, you know? Like, that's
No,
like
it doesn't even look like.
that's like scorch marks. Like,
The implication is that the reason it was so destructive is because it's the alien cat. But yeah, it wasn't. It was like
But
it wasn't
the
always planned
only
that way.
part, the only
that's
part of the
part of
cat that
this-
is alien is that he, like an octopus, flies out of its mouth and it sucks people in. Otherwise, it is functionally a cat.
and they didn't, and they set all that up. They set up how alien it was, how dangerous it was, how like crazy powerful it is. And when the time finally came for the stupid cat to take out his eye, it doesn't even do anything cool. It just scratches his eye.
Yeah. See, here's the entire scene is bad. Not only is the entire scene bad, but what it means for everything else is equally as terrible. Because you have Nick Fury set up, and there is a difference between having Nick Fury set up as an exaggerator, as someone who leaves out context for things, and an outright liar. Okay, there are these differences. This cat thing recontextualizes his scene in Infinity War. His scene, sorry, not Infinity War, in Winter Soldier. Thank you. His scene in Winter Soldier is, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Okay?
Fury
The
has been
implication
known to
is
be
not that that is a cat. I don't trust cats.
Eljay, I'm sorry. I have to read this quote from Hayley.
Come on.
Cat's claws are also super dirty. Yes,
They cause
explaining
infection
what
if they
killing
get
me.
dirty.
Listen, and I
killing
agree
me,
with you.
Haley.
Thus,
I agree.
eyes will never
Oh my
recover.
gosh.
I love you, Hayley.
Certainly. You know what?
Get them too deep in
Absolutely.
your eye, it can
Cat-
be really infectious.
Absolutely. Cat claws are
These
super
are
dirty.
not claw marks.
But this
That's
was not.
claw marks.
There's nothing in the movie to suggest that a scratch
Well, look,
will
that's
cause
already
you to.
different than the other movie. Like, there's no continuity with this eye patch, but yet there's always one, like, there's one or two or three claw marks. Like, there's something there that resembles
Okay.
a claw.
If
that
it was
doesn't
one claw
change.
mark, you would be saying that there's continuity. Any amount of scratches.
Well, like,
Here's the
yes,
problem,
it's,
though.
it's always scratches. It's not like it's Thor where his eye looks
Okay.
like bad makeup. It's like there's something there
Okay,
that looks like
But
something
if you look
animal
at Thor's eye now, it also looks like he has a scratch mark on the eye that was lost. But we've seen how he lost the eye. It was slashed out, but it still looks like it's one long scratch, like Nick Fury. The problem
was
is that is not
bad in the moment.
that is
That was
not.
just a bad. I actually think that moment is worse than the moment with him.
But it's
losing
not.
his-
It's not because it doesn't
So bad.
recontextualize anything. The makeup is bad, I agree. But Thor losing his eye to his sister is a character-defining moment because he suffers loss. When you have a narrative story, when you have a narrative, when you have...
He had
Hang
no
on,
reason
hang
to
on,
lose
hang
in
on.
that movie.
But
There is no reason for him to lose. He already lost his hammer. He did not.
right
lose
after
his eye.
that, his father tells him, I can see more with one eye than you can with two.
stabbed
It
him.
plays into the story. Okay.
Yeah, like you can
It
argue the
does, it
visual
does.
effects were
My
hokey and all
point-
agree.
My
Well,
point
here's the-
is...
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
My point is, when you have a character and your character is going through an arc, or you are exploring your character's backstory, loss is usually how a character develops, how a character grows. In Winter Soldier, Nick Fury says, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. That is indicative of him having gone through a moment of loss, and as such, changing as per that. It made him a less trustful person.
Right. It makes you, you see this goofy Nick Fury in this movie, and you assume that the moment he lost his eye was the moment he became the Nick Fury that we know.
But it's not. It recontextualizes that initial moment from the Winter Soldier because it goes from last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye, meaning that he trusted someone dearly. And in a movie with shapeshifters who are identical to the people you trust the most, he loses his eye to a cat. And we now lose out on the contextual impact that scene in Winter Soldier gave to us. It undercuts that moment and that character.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also the same way with Coulson and the cards, that he put blood on Coulson's cards, which meant nothing. Like, he lied to Captain America to create motivation.
Okay,
I agree with
but
that here.
there's
It's consistent with
And he
Drake's
also-
character.
no, there's
It's
a difference
consistent for him
here.
to make stuff up to
But
to-
One's funny and one's dark.
no, there is still a difference with that.
Like, we
For
know that
starters,
he lied about his eye to Coulson. So if he lied to Coulson about how he lost his eye, then technically other people in S.H.I.E.L.D. would know that story, and his story of how he lost his eye be famous. And so probably Captain might know that story. So he has to keep continuity.
Wait,
But if
but
everyone knew
wait,
that he
wait,
lost
wait,
his
wait,
eye
wait.
to a cat,
Let's
then
focus in on that
no-
real quick. But possibly Captain what?
that Captain might know the story of how he lost his
Captain
eye. We don't
Marvel or
know
Captain
that.
America?
Captain America.
Okay,
'Cause if
Captain
people know the
America
story
at
of
this
how he-
point is considered KIA. He is lost. This is still 1995. Captain America, in this chronological story, wasn't found until at least 2012. Captain America isn't even a concept in Nick Fury's head.
No, I'm saying when Nick Fury told Captain America the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Like, Captain America might know the story of how he lost his eye. We don't know that.
No.
What kind of a
Captain America
stretch
wouldn't-
is this? Normally, you're a lot better at
would not
stretching
know.
arguments.
I
than
think,
this.
I think your
Like I
original
said, if-
argument was made more sense before you.
What
Yeah,
are you doing?
it makes less
Well-
sense to me now.
I mean, if he lied about his story of how he lost his eye, like Coulson, if Coulson knows the fake story, then who else would know the fake
Okay.
story? It would just be Coulson.
So explain this to me. At
No,
what
the only
point?
person, the
Yeah.
only person that knows how Nick Fury actually lost his eye is Captain Marvel.
Yes.
That's the only person relevant
Yeah.
to the MCU right now that knows. No one
Yes.
else knows.
This is the
Yeah.
question to ask, Hayley. At this point in Winter Soldier, it's inferred that Cap and Fury have spent some time together.
Mhm.
But what point in their early movie relationship do you think they're close enough for him to have told Cap that he got his eye scratched out by Goose? He doesn't even
his
trust
fake story. His fake
his
story.
fake story.
Not yes.
She's like saying that he's
People
keeping
know
up a
about
narrative.
fakes. Yes.
He's
no,
he
no one
started
knows
a
except for
narrative that it
Fury.
came from something worse, like
Which
when he
is
first got
fine,
scratched out.
but
Like basically
it's
the narrative,
entirely
and he told
headcanon
Cap
because
that
we've-
too.
Yeah.
Is entirely headcanon because we've never heard the narrative in the movies, nor do I believe
Besides
the writers
Coulson.
ever envisioned such.
Besides Coulson.
But-
because he told the fake story to Coulson, and so you would imagine.
What is the fake story?
The fake story is that he didn't get his eye scratched out; that he lost it.
Yes.
Like in a like in
that
a,
it was
He
that it was,
it was a serious thing.
his eye was burned out because he wouldn't give up the
But
location of the
here,
Tesseract.
here's the problem. That is presented by Coulson as a rumor, and Fury doesn't confirm or deny it. He says that in response to Coulson.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor
let-
deny that. That's just
All
it's
right,
a
let-
rumor. And we're
Hold on.
What?
I'm gonna strong arm Haley's argument here real quick, just to kind of get an idea of like what she's getting at in response to what you said, LJ. Okay, because if we're talking about Nick Fury's character here, and we're referring to the eye thing, what like the eye symbolizes an aspect of Nick Fury's character that I think Hayley is trying to point out as an important part, and that he is willing to lie or create a narrative if he believes it's going to lead to a better outcome, right?
Yes.
So he lied about the cards thing because he believed that it would get the Avengers together. Cool.
Mhm.
He's lying about his eye because it creates a better persona. It creates this image of Nick Fury as this BA that has survived a really traumatic experience for Shield, and through that experience he's lost something important to him as a way of motivating others under him to also, I guess be heroes or whatever, right?
So yeah. So hearing that in Winter Soldier, and then thinking this whole time that this story is gonna be great, only to find out that he got scratched by a cat, makes his character more like.
It reveals the trueness
yeah.
of his character. So
Yeah.
Nick Fury as this boss, awesome
Mm-hmm.
Shield guy, is only a fabrication created in a way of getting everybody to believe that there's someone to rally behind, right?
He's a pathological liar.
Which,
Yeah.
even if it might be consistent, is the common critique with this scene and this movie. And I think what Eljay is getting at is that it destroys his character, basically. In that it trivializes the number one.
It changes his character. So
my counterpoint, which is not really a counterpoint because I agree, it is if you think that way, the issue isn't really with Goose. It's with the entire portrayal of Nick Fury in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he acts nothing like the Nick Fury we know. Sure,
Well, yeah,
he's younger.
because
Sure, he
this is
isn't
the first
experienced.
time, yeah.
Sure, it's a prequel, but there are no similarities in characterization.
It's a very Luke
it's
Skywalker kind of a situation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's 100%. It's a different writer's interpretation of Nick Fury. Whoever wrote this movie saw the other movies, and they were like, you know what? That one time that Nick Fury lied, we're going to make him into a secret goofball who acts like an edgelord to cover up his funny past. And that's what we're going to run with.
Not just to cover it up, but to also motivate others and push an agenda.
It's
so
the big thing is to motivate.
It's to motivate, whether it's to motivate the Avengers or it's to motivate that that Hydra guy into whatever. He's using the eye patch as part of that intimidation factor, even though the actual truth of it is pretty silly. He's able to twist it into something that he can use as a weapon. So that's part of the character.
Yeah.
And I do think that's consistent in essence.
I also think that's consistent. I think that's fine. However, there's still an aspect of this thing that I don't like. I do believe that that's still fine within character, but once again, going back to my previous like the treatment of the tone of the movie and the treatment of the twist, it's the treatment of the scene. The way it's handled is so dumb. It's
the only thing I have to say to that
okay, actually, I got
because I want them. I think the one line they had to put in there is when he lost his eye, he had to say it's only a scratch. Because once he says it's only a scratch, yet everyone in the audience knows that's the moment he loses his eye, is hilarious.
It's not funny. No, I
oh,
absolutely
it's
disagree.
so funny.
That line actually makes it even worse because like it just doesn't make any sense. It completely takes me out of the movie. Absolutely does. It's because like the guy just lost his eye.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that.
Who cares?
Hayley, if you lose your eye, you're gonna know. Okay,
well,
like you don't just.
I'm speaking from experience here.
I am speaking from experience. I have
I was like shut, but
the last time Var trusted someone, he lost it.
Trusted his contact lens to not betray him.
Like if you get a scratch to your cornea, you're gonna know. It's not gonna be like, ow, well, it's just a scratch. That's not how you're gonna react to it. It's gonna be freaking painful. You're gonna scream. You're gonna be like, ah, or something. You know? And it's funny that you guys brought up Thor because I also felt the same way with Thor. When Thor loses his eye, it feels so unimpactful when it actually happens. Like he kind of just brushes it off, and I thought that was weird then, but I can forgive that because Thor's a freaking god. You know, like, all right, fine. Maybe it doesn't matter as much to him because who knows? Nick Fury is just a dude. He's a normal human being. It makes absolute like losing your eye and then saying, "Oh, it's just a scratch," is not a normal human reaction to something like that.
Okay, I want to say though, like, and bear with me, you might need to help rephrase my thoughts on this. But what do you think would be more of a shaping experience? Happy Nick Fury loses his eye in some unexplained event so far, and then says that he has a trust issue because the last time he trusted someone, he lost an eye. Like, something could have happened that shaped his life to bring him to where he is by that point. Or happy Nick Fury gets his eye scratched out by a cat and somehow changes into an edgy person for some other reason, and then says, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Yeah, like now you've lost the catalyst for his personality switch when you do it this way. It's like now you've just also taken away.
No. I would argue that there is no personality switch. Nick Fury today is just as much of a goofball as he was back then.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like
right now he's putting on a persona. He's putting on a lie. It's a persona. It's not the actual Nick Fury. I think that's the point that Hayley was making, is that even now there hasn't been a personality shift. It's just the personality we're seeing is just a fabrication.
We don't know that though.
We do not know that. That's right. But I mean, either way, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine with this being I think it works for his character for the persona to be a fabrication. I think that's fine. Or you could also play it straight, and the Nick Fury that we have seen is his true persona, in which case I would agree with you that the cat scratching at his eye thing is not adequate enough of an explanation for that shift in personality. If we're going by Hayley's headcanon, it works, but then I still have a problem with how the scene is being treated. The tone of the scene isn't right. It doesn't make any sense for a human to react the way he did to his eye being taken out. For example, when I initially saw that scene, I thought it was a joke. I actually thought that they were doing this recurring joke in the movie because it kind of set it up earlier on, too, when he gets in the car crash and he hits his head and his eye is bloody. I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to do this like run-on gag where his eye keeps getting in perilous like situations, but it never goes out. And I thought the cat thing was another example of like, oh, okay, so he just hurt his eye, but he didn't actually lose it. And then they cut to the scene where Coulson gives him a bunch of glass eyes, and I'm like, wait, what? He actually lost his eye there? Like, I thought that was a joke. I thought he really did just get a scratch. I didn't think he actually lost the eye. But then they confirmed it, and now I'm like, are you kidding me?
My main problem with it is kind of similar from a formatting structure. I like that they did 3-act structure with the joke. I just think it happened too late. And the 3-act, and like the, not 3-act structure, but like, you know what I mean, the three times. It happened too close together. Rule of threes. It happened too close together to have any comedic impact. Like, the first scene, he gets his eye scratched out, and literally, I think the very next scene is like the second time it comes up. And then there's like a scene in between, and then the third time it comes up. It's less like a movie and more like a comedy sketch where it's like cutting in between periods of time. It did not work to its maximum potential.
I absolutely think they could have had a cat scratch be the case if they had written it much differently. Like, say someone hands him the cat and at like some earlier point in the movie, and then it turns out, you know, then it scratches his eye, like he gets set up for like getting his eye scratched. And then like maybe middle through the movie or later, it's like, oh, it's just a scratch, it's fine. But by the end, it like settles in again, like it does at the end, that it's his eye is not going to heal. Then it could seem like he'd feel more betrayed, like actually betrayed, than he did in what the movie turned out to be.
Oh my gosh, I just realized.
Well, I think it doesn't make any sense at all if the cat scratched at his eye and that is what he's referring to as he was betrayed by someone. I think no matter how you put it, but
so wait. Fury's eye, when we see it in Winter Soldier, is all mangled and messed up, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So why, oh why, did Coulson give him a giant container of eyes? That seems like an awfully cruel joke, because the eye was still in his socket.
No, he lost his eye, so
but
what you typically do in that situation is put in a glass eye.
Yeah.
Take out the old eye and you put in a new eye.
Fury chose not to.
He just chose not to do that.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
That's all.
I just thought that was a real. Okay, well that's messed up. Okay. That's
yeah.
weird.
Here, I think,
bad deed.
as fun as this is, we should begin the process of wrapping this up. There's a billion more things we could talk about, though. Like, we haven't even talked about Carol Avenger Danvers yet. That was hilarious.
That was funny.
Yeah, I don't have any.
I flip-flopped on this so much.
I feel like that just could have had more explanation. That's all. I wouldn't mind it being in the movie if they had just put in like one little bit of hint at it.
See, the more I think about this, because at first I was expecting to hate like the cat thing, but like it was fine to me, and I really hated the Avenger thing. The more I think about it, the more it's flipping. Because I actually like the Avenger thing from a thematic perspective, because the first movie, Iron Man 1, at the very end, we're introduced to like the Avenger Initiative, and then the last movie before Endgame, we're introduced to the Avengers Initiative, and it feels like a nice bit of like closing act.
I
Like,
don't-
could it have been smoother? Definitely. But I get what they were trying to do, and it has nothing about. I see people freaking out how it's like, oh, Carol is the reason why the Avengers were made. This is ridiculous, and it disrespects Captain America, who is the first Avenger. It's like, okay, first of all, Captain America happened like before this, so he still is. And
And also,
secondly,
he is still officially the first Avenger. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And
so but my thing is not that I don't take an issue with the fact that her nickname was Avenger. It's more like that it just came out of left field. Like I totally understand why Nick Fury would name it after her after all of those things, but just like it just seems convenient
Yeah, I agree.
the way they put it into the movie. It's like,
Like,
oh, how about that?
I
She
wish
just
in a
happens to have the
flashback-
nickname of Avenger.
it
In
was a
flashback, someone
fan
calls
fiction
her an
moment.
Avenger just as like a joke. Like
Yeah.
it's
But
Carol.
I mean,
something
well,
like that.
it would have made
Like-
more sense if like her friend referred to her as Avenger. Or
yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, like imagine a scene where they like sit down, they look at the photo, you don't see the name, but you just hear her friend like, yeah, they called you that because blah blah blah. Like you just kind of hear that like, oh, maybe.
Oh
she
yeah,
was-
yeah, something like that would
she
have
had
worked
one.
too.
Yeah. So that's another just kind of like an elegant kind of fan fiction moment. But just to end this before we get into final thoughts, my third biggest problem with the movie, very briefly, is not actually with this movie. It's what could be in the future, and that is power scaling.
Oh boy.
So I don't actually think she was a problem in this movie with her powers, because they did the Superman kind of route. Like, yes, she didn't lose a fight, but the goal wasn't to beat up the enemies, it was to save the Skrulls. They gave her someone to protect who did not have crazy super strength. And someone with superpowers could still fail that. It's certainly possible. And that's where the stakes come in, is the people around you. I give them a pass this once. But going forward with the kind of destructive power that she showed, like being able to effortlessly fly through and destroy the final boss ship of Guardians of the Galaxy in 5 seconds, that's dangerous. We're getting into like DC Superman kind of
That
realms
seems
here,
bad.
where going forward, like there's what is to stop her from going supernova and flying through Thanos and like splitting him in two by crashing through his chest. She could totally do that. The only reason she won't is contrivance of writing. There are a million things they could do to mitigate this problem, and I have faith in the Marvel writing staff that they would not introduce a character who's going to be so overpowered she breaks the story. So I'm not actually concerned, but I'm keeping my eye on it.
The heck was that?
Yeah, I don't know. Meso got really loud all of a sudden.
Oh, he does that every so often.
Yeah. Am I still loud?
Well, no, it was like for
No.
like a second. Like you just like
Split second, like
Yeah.
like super loud.
I hate that. Basically, I'm fine with it for now. I don't actually think it's a problem, but
I
I'm
think
skeptical.
I do think that we might be undercutting how powerful Thanos actually is with the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know. I feel like it might kind of like counter each other pretty well. Because I mean, yeah, you're right. Carol does have the ability. Like pre-Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos, Carol would destroy. I'm not confident that with the Infinity Gauntlet, she is going to be as.
Well, let's do some power
overhanded.
scaling. Stormbreaker cut through the full combined power of the Infinity Gauntlet. Would you say Stormbreaker is more or less powerful than Carol?
Well, but that power scaling that you're talking about is just Thanos shooting a beam, but the Infinity Gauntlet can do more than just shoot a beam. Like he can he can shape reality. Like Carol can dive through his chest, sure, but what if he just teleports somewhere else and makes a duplicate of himself and she just gets miraged, like
Certainly possible.
if you're more creative with the tool set that you have, then I think that that power scaling kind of gets set back a bit.
You're
I feel
right. And that's the kind of threat she's going to have to face in the future. It's going to
Okay.
come from
This
more
sounds-
Problemo.
mental
This sounds
trickery.
ridiculous, but are they even gonna fight Thanos in Endgame?
Yes.
Like,
There's
if there's a time travel thing, then how is it gonna
that is
end
a
up,
good
like,
point, actually. I have
There's
no-
like,
There's a
I
crazy
don't really see
speculation
them
thing out
fighting
there.
Thanos, but you would think they would
Well,
there was a speculation, there was a rumored plot for Endgame that sounds like my least favorite thing imaginable, and it was in trying to bring everyone back, the Avengers go back in time and they mess with the timeline, and to prevent all of reality from getting destroyed, they must work together with Thanos to save reality.
Oh
and he
my
goes
gosh.
into the quantum realm with them, and like it's a suit. I would walk out of the theater.
Now you want it.
I would freaking boycott this universe.
I'm just imagining the scene at the end of the trailer, like everybody's walking with dramatic music in their suits, and then
Quantum
comes
suit.
to Thanos with his suit.
It's not Tony. It's
Quantum
actually
reality can be
Thanos.
whatever I want.
He wouldn't
He's
even
just like
fit in the
patting
ship.
Thor on the back.
Sorry about
You
your
almost
friends.
had me there.
I would leave. I would leave the theater. I would
No, don't leave me.
I want
leave. I would
nothing more
leave
to
you.
happen
I'm
right
sorry,
now.
Hayley.
No.
I'm sorry, Hayley. I love you,
It's
but I
all
hate
over.
time travel more.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so the question is, I guess, if Captain Marvel was to face off against Thanos, it would be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there are
Okay.
clips in the trailer of
Hold on,
them
though.
fighting people, so I
Yeah.
like they're fighting something. We don't see what they're fighting, but I'm assuming there's going to be a fight with Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been out in space for 23 years. How did she never come across Thanos in any of that
It's
time?
big.
Because she was on the other side of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went the opposite way.
She went the opposite way from the
But
Kree
yeah,
because that's where
Thanos
Thanos
still had
is.
control of the Kree.
I mean, yeah, like her goal.
Oh,
was
that's a
to-
good point.
No, her goal was to move the scroll to a completely
Yeah.
like other side of the universe so that they could never encounter the Kree again. So it actually makes sense for her to never.
But then how
encounter
did she end the
Thanos.
war? I guess she ended the war by sending off that one faction of Kree.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
She
think
also
she
gathered
did
the-
end the war.
So not Kree, sorry. She sent the scrolls off, that one refugee group of scrolls. To
Well,
that one
I
spot,
well, I
and
think
then
I mean the war was just part of the propaganda, right? There actually wasn't any war. It was the Kree that
But
invaded their
They were
homeland.
hunting them down.
No, but
Yeah,
like all the scrolls are scattered though into like different groups.
Yes,
She was just
yes.
helping that one, so she
Which
needed to go
is
help
like,
the rest.
Which is still within our galaxy, or universe, or
Yeah.
solar system, or
Well,
whatever.
I mean, listen, I
The
The- the-
purpose of the line about saying there's other factions of Skrull, pardon me for being meta, it's literally just so the writers have an out so they can still use the Skrull as villains in the future for secret invasion, while also using this movie to like say, hey, these Skrull are the good guys. It's not actually to say that Carol's been fighting this war for 24 years, every Kree Skrull battle. It was just to say, hey, there's Skrull out there that might not be good dudes. So they can use that little breadcrumb in the
Sure.
future.
that might be the case, but I still think it makes perfect sense for her to be going like if her goal is to literally move the scroll away from the Kree, then going around finding scroll refugees, moving them from the Kree. Like the whole point is to avoid the Kree. So it makes sense that she would not encounter Thanos if her point is to avoid him and the Kree.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanos was already starting that whole stuff around the same time, if not before.
Yeah, she probably knows about him. Maybe a little bit.
He's infamous.
But-
So yeah,
Thanos,
Maybe.
I saw him before. It was easy.
he
I
was
mean-
infamous. His
Yeah.
plans for the Gauntlet and universe not.
Yeah, like I mean,
Wait, he actually did it?
pre Gauntlet Thanos and Gauntlet Thanos are very different threats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. So Captain
that
Marvel
was
didn't care that
Infinity
he was
War.
like killing half the population of different planets out there.
I mean, she probably didn't
Oh,
because
yeah.
she was with the Kree for a
Verse
while, and she
didn't,
probably didn't.
but Carol
I mean, she probably wasn't told about what Thanos was doing. No, she couldn't have been. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been with the Kree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, so she doesn't know. She doesn't know about Thanos.
Well, she might know.
If
that
she
Thanos,
never
but she doesn't know what he's
encountered it.
doing.
Anyways, that's all speculation. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Let's do this. The more we talk about this movie, the more I feel we could keep going. But let's go ahead and end, just because it's been so long. We might actually, but we're not going to do a part 2. But
Prpl, you could have left. Matoro did.
we might revisit stuff in the future because there's like a billion things we didn't even cover. So for now, let's just give final thoughts. I, generally speaking, I still like the movie, and I stand by all my positive praise for it. However, I do say upon discussion a lot of that positive praise is literally just that I happen to like the supporting cast and how they bounce off of Brie Larson and Carol Danvers. Their dynamic appealed to me on a level that I can't really debate. The movie, if I were to just talk about it like we have been, is kind of a mess. It borders on regular Marvel movie, but with this like kind of almost subversion angle that doesn't really work, and it ends up just cycling back around to being cliche by the end. It has a hollow villain. I still like the scroll twist, but it was kind of cheesy. Nick Fury thing, cheesy. Avenger Danvers, kind of cheesy. Basically, it's a lot of camp, a lot of cheese, and I don't really know if this was the movie that I would have released in between, like Infinity War and Endgame. Like Ant-Man already kind of fulfilled the levity role. I don't really know two pretty funny movies. This one probably could have had a bit more of a somber or introspective tone to kind of ease people back into it and be like, hey, this is the mood we're going with. But I did not dislike it, and I still found a lot to enjoy about it, and I will mark my claim in the sand at least until rewatch that I do like it better than Black Panther and Doctor Strange, which are the last two solo movies. I guess Spider-Man too, but that's another point. I made the comment that I like this better than Spider-Man. I might be slightly rethinking that because that was always just from the angle that I didn't really like Homecoming all that much. Not so much that I think Captain Marvel's a masterpiece. After this discussion, it's definitely some cracks are showing. I think it might merit a rewatch. If I were to give an arbitrary number score, 7 out of 10, trailers undersold it. Anybody else? Who next?
Yeah, it was a cool movie.
Yeah, Prpl. You go.
Preach it.
Prpl, I honestly forgot you were here.
I did too.
Preach it, Prpl. Preach it.
Yeah, it's
Hayley?
cool.
I honestly hope that wasn't Coulson's last big moment on the big screen, and I really hope he's in the next one.
That's
Well,
funny.
there was.
That's
His first
so
rodeo
funny.
was his last rodeo.
Well, he might be if they do time travel.
So it'd be great. But again, I must reiterate, Goose will be the one to save the universe.
Oh my gosh.
If Goose is the one to defeat Thanos, then Goose is gonna keep all the Infinity Stones safe. So
Goose
That better
just
not
keeps the
happen.
gauntlet.
That better
I
not
feel
happen.
like your liking of Goose, your liking of Goose is just fueled by people not liking it. Basically, you only like it more
I'm a
because
huge cat fan, so the fact that there's a cat
Red flag,
in Marvel
Meso.
is awesome, and then the fact that the cat is actually adorable and is super cute and just
Red
like
flag.
chilling on the dashboard of the plane is just amazing. And also, Brie Larson is severely allergic to cats, so that's a very interesting dynamic that they had to balance with the movie.
I
So
love
I
it.
wondered how she picked up Goose and if that was actually CGI, if she just picked up a CGI cat.
That's a very good question.
Interesting. But alas, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching the movie. Now I see all the flaws, but it's just one of those Marvel movies where you just sit through and the twist gets you and you're just kind of smiling the whole time. So
Well, it's because everyone expected like nothing from it. So
Yeah.
the fact that it ended up being like kind of a generic Marvel movie makes it like better than it would have been
yeah.
because the trailers were so bad.
Mhm.
So it's like
So, but yeah.
LJ.
So despite what I've had the opportunity to say today, which has not been because I haven't had much to say, it's just because I've been focusing on keeping this the headphones cord in a certain position.
Thank you. I'm sorry, dude.
I don't care. It's fine. So the movie I thought was fine. I liked it. I had a good time during the movie. It was entertaining. I think it's just a little above average though. I don't think it was amazing. I don't think it was terrible. It's just a movie, and that's fine. There's no issues with that. I think it has some issues within the film itself, but it's fine.
All right.
Also, I do want to point this YouTube comment out from Evershadow 7, I want to say.
yes.
It was regarding the cats. He said, quote, the catalyst.
Dear Lord.
Catalyst.
Oh my god.
All right. Anyway, yeah, it's fine.
Var.
7 out of 10. The friend that Carol Danvers had. Every time I saw her, I kept thinking she looked like Don Cheadle in a wig. I couldn't.
Oh my god, no! That's all I'm gonna see now.
No
So
comment.
that was my last thought.
Dang it, Mar.
Lamau.
Var, why? Mange?
Oh, you ruined it for me now.
Like the movie, yes, at face value, 7. Thinking about it critically, 5 to 6. It's like a ping pong battle. Like I said before, it's like a ping pong battle. Like one person sends it off, like the person that thinks is good is like, it's good for this reason, wham, and then the person that thinks it's bad is like, but wham, like, you know,
Pretty
it's just kind of
much.
like back and forth between like, this was good, but then there's this issue.
I'll definitely agree that it doesn't hold up under scrutiny because I'm thinking about it, and there's a plethora of things we never even talked about, like fight choreography, like the misused, overhandled '90s aesthetic,
Oh, I didn't even get
Like-
to go into the music.
like how Coulson like
90s.
didn't really have any personality. No, I forgot. I have to say this. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh my
Ronan.
god.
We never
Ronan
talked about
sucked.
Ronan.
Yes. All right. Ronan was in the movie.
Yeah.
The end.
What?
The end of the conversation.
What an absolute waste. Like, very rarely, actually, scratch that, never has Marvel had the opportunity to revisit one of their weaker villain characters and potentially give them some added modicum of personality or depth. They had that opportunity in this movie, considering it was all about the Kree and Ronan. They could have shown how he like got so bitter. They could have given him some kind of character. He could have been on the Star Force team, like bantering with Carol and Jan Rog and stuff. Instead, he was exactly the same character as he was in Guardians, except with worse makeup that looked even stupider. And he
I
did
actually thought-
absolutely nothing.
I thought Ronan was perfect. And the one scene where Carol destroys everything, and he just kind of stares at her, and then turns to the other guy. It was like, dude,
That was really good.
what?
What?
That was good.
I was like, that was pretty funny.
It was funny. It was hilarious, but only because Ronan as a character is like such a joke already. Like this was their opportunity to unjoke him, and they just made him even more jokey.
Yeah, of course.
Like yeah, it was funny. I just feel like it was a waste. And his makeup also looks stupid without the black face paint. Anyway, I'm done. Yeah, it's definitely not a movie that holds up critically. I feel like this is going to be a Black Panther. Or on my third rewatch, I'm just going to hate it. But we'll see. I'm curious to rewatch it again.
Her suit's amazing.
Her suit's freaking cool.
Yeah,
The
I
whole-
thought
the
it
whole
was
design is
really
cool.
ugly.
Oh my god! Pink paw!
Her green suit's
The ping pong.
It looks so restrictive, and I think that might be why the action was so terrible in this movie, is because like she can't really perform in it. Which I believe you look at the poster and like she's trying to do like the Superman kind of pose where she's flying, and it looks bad. Like it looks like she can barely pull it off. Like that suit just doesn't look good. Anyway,
All
I hate
right.
it.
Fair enough. Well,
And the kid knows how to press on her gauntlet or the glove
Yeah,
to
she's
be
an
able to
expert.
change the colors.
That kid was pretty great.
it was cool.
The kid was also Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how they like changed Marvel, but then again, I don't really care about comics accuracy.
Wait.
But people are pissed off about that.
The kid
I thought
is
what they
Miss
did was
Marvel?
better.
The kid was actually like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the kid is Captain Marvel.
yeah.
he was-
Monica Rambeau is one of the people.
Monica Rambeau is the second Captain Marvel. In fact, she was Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're setting her up. Yeah, like they gender bent Marvel, which doesn't bother me. What they did do is like change them from someone of actual importance to just some random Kree scientist who like wants to do
Yeah.
stuff.
Instead,
That's what people are really taking umbrage with.
I mean,
But-
listen, there was a big theory that Captain Marvel was going to be evil. Like everybody thought Young
Yeah.
Dog was going to be Marvel. I think like if I
That
mean, I
would've
think
been
this is
worse.
probably this is better off the way it
I
is.
agree.
So
All right. Well, this was TTV Reviews Captain Marvel. What a way to kick off the TTV podcast again, eh? Mega length, multifaceted.
yeah.
Hey,
It's
we
been
had
a
a good
while.
turnout though.
Yeah, we'll see you guys again in 3 months for another episode of the TTV podcast.
Yup,
No, we'll see
stay
next time
tuned.
for Endgame.
Yeah, in-game review. Get hype.
A review
Well,
or
no,
podcast?
we'll do the next Captain Marvel review, which is gonna be Shazam. Ha 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 ha.
XD.
That's weird. It's weird how history worked that out. The fact that Captain Marvel and Shazam are both getting like
Captain
their
Marvel
big
and Captain
movies,
Marvel are both coming
Yeah.
out like a
And,
month
like
apart
within
from
a
each
month,
other.
which is hilarious. Like that's just weird. How
There-
it was not planned at all, and yet it just happens. So
There
Yeah.
is one other funny similarity. One of the
on.
actors in both Shazam and Captain Marvel. One guy, he's in both movies.
Korath.
Yeah. What's the actor's name? Son of a biscuit. I can't remember.
Hayley tweeted about him, but I doubt you remember his name.
yeah, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
But he's
Wow.
he's in both Captain
He's
Marvel
been in
movies.
so many. He's been in like so many DC and Marvel movies.
It's sorry if I'm gonna butcher this name. Jimon Honsu. He was in Guardians as Korath. And yeah, now he's here in Marvel, and yeah, Shazam.
Yeah. So he's and because Shazam was originally Captain Marvel, that means he's in both of the Captain Marvel movies.
I love
Which
it.
is hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much for listening to episode 312 of the TTV podcast. Please leave your thoughts on Captain Marvel, the Endgame trailer, me and Var's friendship, to tie that all back in.
I thought we established there was none.
Press F for friendship, please. And also whether the DC universe can be saved by the actors writing their own movies. I think it should
James
happen.
Gunn. James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn, no longer
So,
James
Is
Gunn.
the
Mataro
conversation.
liking DC more justified?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's
Let
a
us
lot of
know.
stuff to talk about.
And my first appearance in a TTV podcast.
Yeah, you got to be like the focal point of all critique and have your arguments laughed at and derived.
Yeah.
Like,
On your
How does it
first
feel?
Wow,
podcast.
that's so wow.
Because cats are the greatest.
Okay.
boom, there you
Cats are
go.
really
Red
the
flag,
universe
crimson.
savers.
Were I able to look at life through your lens, what a world it would be.
Maybe we'd like you
just,
again. No, I'm
just
kidding.
knowing that you can look at Nick Fury in every single movie and just know
I'd just
that
be
eye patch is because of
See,
a
that's
cat.
the
stupid, stupid.
that's the trollish attitude.
'Cause of
Anyway,
a
well-
cat.
Oh gosh, Haley, Meso's rubbing off on you too much.
Yeah. High five! Oh yeah!
No, this is the opposite of what should have happened.
He's
You were
creating
so
a
precious
second
and pure
Meso.
when you first joined, and here you are now.
She still's a beacon of
She's
hope.
she's turning into girl Meso.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
God.
Don't have
I can't even
Alright.
see a boy Meso.
Wow. Patron shout out to Ben Gatz, who says he'll be happy if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans get screwed over by time travel. I'll be happy if...
High five,
Sir.
Ben Gatz!
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I'll be
actually
happy if
looking
you stop
forward to
talking.
that.
How about that?
Look forward to that.
I was gonna say something worse. But, oh well. Anyway, this was TTV 312. Thank you for listening. I'm Meso.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Invi.
I'm Prpl. And I'm cat-loving Haley.
Red
We'll
flag!
see you all
Here,
next
Haley.
Farewell,
Silly goose.
everyone. Silly goose.